Chapter 44-37. The Star Sank King was taken aback. Xueqi's pupils shrank. What kind of technique did you use? This isn't a formation, is it? If you use your magical power to break it, I'm afraid I won't be satisfied. Lin Xian said calmly, Princess Xueqi, can't you see that? I attacked the weakest part of your formation. Of course, if you want to use a formation, I'll show it to you. As Lin Xian spoke, he formed a seal with his palms and quickly formed a formation that spread out in all directions. Countless golden crows flew between heaven and earth and formed a golden crow flame formation. Its power wasn't any weaker than the great ice formation from before. Lin Xian was originally a formation genius, and he had also learned from the dark red divine dragon. After that, he had learned from Black Mountain. His attainments in formations were really great, and he was definitely a formation grandmaster. Ordinary Sank King's formations weren't as good as his. Now Lin Xian was just showing off his skills. However, Xueqi was sure that she would be satisfied. Xueqi felt the power of the flame formation. A smile finally appeared on Xueqi's cold face. The ice around her had melted. Very good. Star Sank King, I want this person. The Star Sank King furrowed his brows slightly. He didn't expect Lin Xian's attainments and formations to be so great. He was actually so strong. He felt a trace of danger. This was because this guy had said that he would kill him with his own hands one day. Now that he had followed Princess Xueqi, would he become stronger? However, he quickly sneered and shook his head. So what? A battle servant was still a battle servant. He was a middle-stage Sank King. It wouldn't be long before he faced his next breakthrough. At that time, once he reached the late stage of the Sank King realm, his identity and strength would be greatly changed. There would be earth-shattering changes. How could a mere ant possibly contend against him? Therefore, he eliminated the worry in his heart for her sake. Instead, he smiled and said, Since Xueqi is satisfied, I'm relieved. Lin Xian, from now on, you will follow Princess Xueqi and listen to her orders. Lin Xian looked at the blue-clothed woman in front of him. His eyes flickered and then he nodded. Xueqi was also surprised. Apart from his high attainments in array formations, his attitude also surprised her. To be honest, no battle servant would dare to be so arrogant. It seemed like he was even colder than her. However, this made her even more interested. Therefore, she waved her hand. As she spoke, she walked outside. In the next moment, endless ice enveloped Lin Xian. The ground beneath his feet turned into an ice sword. The two of them soared into the air and quickly left. This time he was heading toward Xueqi's mansion. Her residence was not just a cave or a palace. Was a place of. There were all kinds of resources and landforms inside. Lin Xian took a look. This was even scarier than a saint city in the second star realm. This was just the top disciple. He didn't know about the other core elders. Or how terrifying would the supreme elder be? It was a cultivation holy land. After they came down, many people knelt down and bowed. Welcome back, Princess Xueqi. Some of these people were originally from the buried Emperor Star. Some of them were battle servants from other worlds. They were all very respectful. Get up. Xueqi nodded. These people got up. Then they looked at Lin Xian curiously. Who is this person? They were surprised. Looking at the armor he was wearing, he should be a battle servant. However, there had never been a battle servant who could walk beside Princess Xueqi. Princess, Ninth Young Master Yan has been waiting for you for a long time. At this moment, an old man walked over and said respectfully. It seemed like he was an old butler. Ninth Young Master Yan? Xueqi frowned. She told him that she didn't have time. But at this moment, a voice sounded from afar. Xueqi, you're finally back. Shortly after, the boundless nomological laws brought a person over quickly. It was a tall man. He wore a golden battle robe. As he walked, he brought with him a powerful force. This person was also a half-step Sank King. He was very strong. It was obvious that he was a top genius of the Thousand Mountain Paradise. Xueqi, I heard that you went out to look for the materials for the formation. How did it go? Did you collect all of them? If you didn't collect all of them, I'll ask my father to collect them for you. He will surely be able to collect all of them for you. It was obvious that this person's status was not ordinary. However, Xueqi said coldly, there's no need. I already have the materials. If you don't have anything else, don't disturb me. After she spoke, she walked forward. Lin Xian also followed her. He looked at her. At this moment, Ninth Young Master Yan also turned his head and looked over. When he saw Lin Xian, his face sank. There was actually someone who could walk beside Xueqi. Even he didn't receive such treatment. In the next moment, a biting cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. It enveloped Lin Xian. Then he asked, Xueqi, who is this person? He's the battle servant I just brought back. He can help me set up the formation. Xueqi stopped and said coldly. It turned out that he was a battle servant. Ninth young master Yen heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that he wasn't standing beside Xueqi. How could someone else be qualified to stand beside her? Lad, pay attention to your eyes. Don't look at what you shouldn't look at. Otherwise, I'll make sure that you'll never be able to see it. Ninth young master Yen released a biting cold killing intent. Lin Xian looked at him and said calmly, Who do you think you are? How dare you order me around? When he said this, the surrounding people were stunned. Even the old housekeeper was stunned. Was this really a battle servant? Ninth young master Yen was also stunned. Then he said, Aunt, do you know who you are talking to? Believe it or not, I can make you die without a burial ground in an instant. A terrifying aura emanated from his body. It seemed like he was about to attack Xueqi. However, Xueqi's body flickered and blocked him. What? Do you dare to touch my man? If you dare to touch him, don't blame me for attacking you. Ninth young master Yen was completely infuriated when he heard this. He asked, Xueqi, are you going to attack me because of a battle servant? He really didn't dare to believe this. Xueqi said in a deep voice, Now I don't welcome you. You should leave quickly. Then she looked at Lin Xian and said, Follow me. Lin Xian nodded. He looked at ninth young master Yen and revealed a cold smile. Then he shrugged his shoulders and walked forward. Ninth young master Yen was driven mad when he saw the two of them leave. He roared, and the void in the 9 heavens and 10 earths shattered. Lad, do you think that you can act arrogantly in front of me because you have Xueqi's protection? You are too naive. Chapter 44:38. When the surrounding people heard this, their scalps went numb. They knew that this matter wouldn't end so easily. On the other side, Xueqi brought Lin Xian and Yan Qi to a courtyard. There wasn't anyone here, and countless formations flickered in the surroundings. It was clear that only Xueqi could come here. After she arrived, she turned around and looked at Lin Xian as she spoke coldly. Although your formation surprised me, I'll advise you. Don't be too arrogant, especially that Yan Qi. It's best if you don't provoke him in the future. His status isn't any weaker than mine. This was especially true for his grandfather, who was also a Grand Elder. Do you know what the Supreme Elder's cultivation is? I can tell you that he's the Great Sage. Therefore, it's best if you stay here and don't go out. Alright, you should rest for a while. There will be a mission for you soon. After saying this, Xueqi walked inside. When Lin Xian heard this, he was surprised. The Great Sage? One must know that the Great Sage didn't exist in the second astral realm. They only knew that the Black Mountain was the Great Sage's remnant soul. How powerful was the real Great Sage? As expected of the buried Emperor Star. The Great Sage really existed in these grotto heavens. In the next moment, Lin Xian clenched his fists. He felt his blood boiling. When he tested the heavenly will, his future wasn't just the Great Sage. It was the Heaven Illuminator. What kind of scene was that? Lin Xian was looking forward to the day when he could illuminate the heavens. He rested for 2 days. After 2 days, Xueqi gave him a mission. It was to set up some formations. As for the materials for the array formation, they already had enough. Lin Xian took a deep breath and started to form hand seals. He started to set up the formations. On the other side, Yan Qi was gnashing his teeth in anger after he returned. He started to investigate Lin Xian's background. When he found out that Lin Xian was just a battle servant who had just arrived here and was suppressed, he was furious. He was completely enraged. No one had ever dared to challenge him. A mere battle servant was truly courting death. At this moment, the person beside him indeed mentioned ninth young master Yen. Although his identity was unknown, it was said that he was proficient in formations. Now, Princess Xueqi was in urgent need of a formation expert. That was why she dared to act so arrogantly. Proficient in formations? Go, find me a few geniuses who are proficient in formations. I want to see when I can replace him. What right does he have to be arrogant? Yanjiu's speed was extremely fast. After about 3 days, he really did find 2 people. These 2 people were both holy venerates. However, it was said that the array formations were all very advanced. One of them was a battle servant, while the other was a disciple of the Thousand Mountain Cave. Greetings to ninth young master Yen. The 2 of them bowed respectfully. The battle servant was extremely nervous, while the other disciple was extremely excited. He knew how noble ninth young master Yan's status was. If he could gain the approval of ninth young master Yen, then his future path of martial arts would be much easier. He would soar into the sky. The battle servant's true form was a python, and he was a demonic beast. His name was Han Mang. As for the disciple, he was called Hua Tuesday. Ninth young master Yen personally tested the strength of the two people's formations. After that he nodded slightly. Very good, these two people's formations were indeed very powerful. Ordinary formation masters of the older generation were no match for them. If the two people he brought with him could help Princess Xueqi, then the lad from before would be useless. If he wanted to kill the lad again, Xueqi would not stop him. When ninth young master Yen thought of this, a smug smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. He brought the two people with him and walked into the distance. He came to Xueqi's mansion again. The mansion's old housekeeper informed Xueqi. Xueqi frowned and told him that she was not free. The old housekeeper said, "That's what I said too." However, ninth young master Yen said that he found two top-notch formation masters, and they might be of help to the princess. "Oh, formation masters?" Xueqi's eyes flickered. She thought for a moment and said, "All right. Bring them here." Before long, ninth young master Yen brought the two people with him. Xueqi waved her hand and countless formations formed a passageway. The three of them walked in. "Xueqi." Ninth young master Yan's lips curled into a smile. "I know you need a master of formations. That's why I found two for you. What do you think? Why don't you test the strength of the two of them?" Xueqi was holding an ancient book in her hand, and she was studying formations. She said, "I am not free. However, I will find someone to test them for me." She called out Lin Xian's name. Lin Xian walked out of another hall and said, "Who wants me to test them?" When ninth young master Yen saw Lin Xian, his face turned gloomy. A cold smile appeared on his face. "Xueqi, if the two people I found can surpass this lad, then they can stay here. Could it be that they could stay here and help you, while this brat would be a piece of trash? When the time comes, I will take him away. Do you have any objections?" Xueqi said calmly, "I have no objections. I never want good-for-nothings." When Lin Xian heard this, he squinted his eyes. This woman was really cold. However, he soon smiled. "You want to replace me? What a joke." He walked over and said, "Ninth young master Yen, did you find two good-for-nothings? You want to challenge me? I advise you to go back. Otherwise, if you lose face, I won't be responsible. Lad, you can be arrogant. I will see how arrogant you can be when you are defeated by formations." Ninth young master Yen smiled coldly. Then he said, "Han Mang, you go first." Han Mang walked out, and his body shone with a terrifying radiance. "Lad, let's not compete in magical powers or laws. How about we compete in formations?" "As you wish." Lin Xian shrugged his shoulders. In the next moment, he waved his hand and countless formations appeared in the sky and formed a formation. It pressed down toward the sky. It was a fire formation, and the three golden crows kept roaring in it. They carried a powerful flame power, and it seemed like they wanted to burn everything. Han Mang, who was opposite him, sneered coldly. He kept forming seals with his palms. Countless array formations were cast out by him and quickly formed into an array formation. Then the aura in the sky instantly became cold. It was also an ice formation. Moreover, there were 5 illusions of giant ice pythons in it. It was obvious that this formation was made by a formation master according to his own characteristics. It was extremely terrifying. Boom. The two formations with completely opposite auras clashed. In an instant, terrifying auras swept out in all directions. Terrifying flames surged out and terrifying ice froze everything. The 5 giant pythons enveloped the golden crows, and it seemed like they would seal them at any time. Ninth young master Yen sneered when he saw this. "I thought you were some powerful expert. It turns out that you are so weak that you can't even defeat one of my battle servants. Xueqi, it seems like you have been deceived by this lad." Chapter 44-39. Xueqi raised her head and looked forward. Her eyes flashed and her face was expressionless. She had seen the power of Lin Xian's array. Back then, there were more than 3 golden crows in the formation. She knew that Lin Xian was hiding his strength. Sure enough, the next moment Lin Xian said, 5 giant pythons, is this all you have? If that was all, the battle would be over. After saying that, he formed a seal again and the array kept changing. Endless flames swept across. 3 more golden crows appeared next to the 3 golden crows. 6 golden crows circled in the sky like 6 suns. Is the power of the array strengthened? Han Mang was stunned. Is he hiding his strength? Do you think you are the only one who is hiding your strength? After he finished saying those words, his spirit formation grew stronger again. The 5 giant pythons turned into 7. They outnumbered his opponent. Kid, you are no match for me. No match for me? Lin Xian sneered. You think too highly of yourself. After saying that, the 6 golden crows turned into 9 again. They circled in the sky and the terrifying flames blasted the ice array apart. Han Mang was sent flying. Countless cracks appeared on his body. He was enveloped by the flames. Oh, Ninth Prince Yen, save me. Han Mang roared crazily. He could feel that he could not withstand the flames. His soul was about to be destroyed. Ninth Prince Yen snorted when he saw this. He raised his hand and tried to extinguish the flames. However, he was too late. In an instant he was turned into ashes. His soul was destroyed. How dare you kill him? Ninth Prince Yen shouted angrily. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Lin Xian said calmly. The battle of arrays is very dangerous. If you are careless, your soul will be destroyed. Don't you know this? If you don't even know this, how can you find a powerful array master? Lin Xian looked at him with disdain. Ninth Prince Yen gritted his teeth. Damn it. What a piece of trash. You have embarrassed me. He then looked at another person and said, Hua Tu, make your move. Don't hold back at all. Destroy this brat's heart and soul. Hua Tu took a deep breath. To be honest, he was also shocked just now. His array formation was more powerful than the cold light. When he first came here he was still dismissive. However, after watching the match he was a little hesitant. Therefore, when he heard young Master Yanjio's words, he did not step forward immediately. What? You don't even listen to me anymore? Do you want to die? The 9th young master felt utterly humiliated when he saw that his other partner was so timid. Lin Xian, however, burst into laughter. Young Master Yanjio, I've heard that you have an extraordinary status. Why did you find such trash? This doesn't match your status at all. Why don't you go back today and stop embarrassing yourself here? Xueqi, who was beside him, spoke calmly. Yanjio, have you caused enough trouble? I don't have time to play with you. Yanjio gritted his teeth. He glared at Hua Tu and said coldly, Attack or I'll kill you right now. Hua Tu was so scared that he almost cried. If he knew that it was so dangerous he wouldn't have come here. Lin Xian said, All right, I'll give you a chance. I won't use the array formation just now. You can make your move. Hua Tu was surprised when he heard this. Is he serious? The Golden Crow array formation should be his strongest array formation. If he didn't use his strongest array formation he might have a chance to win. So he said, All right, brat, since you said so, don't blame me for being impolite. Don't worry, young master. I'll take him down now. The 9th young master smiled. All right, when you succeed I'll raise your cultivation by 1 level. Really? Hua Tu became even more excited. This time he had to kill his opponent even if he had to risk his life. In the next moment he waved his hand and endless saber light formed a heavenly saber array. It was a peerless killing array. A terrifying aura spread out in all directions. Hua Tu was very powerful. With this array formation he could fight against more than 5 experts of the same level. It could be said that he was a genius in array formations. However, it was a pity that he met Lin Xian. When Lin Xian saw the array formation he smiled. The Golden Crow array formation just now was just a casual attack. Then he used a 5-element sword array. The power of the 5 laws intertwined and formed a great array formation. Not only did it contain the power of the 5 laws, but it also contained the power of the sword principle. Suddenly the sky was filled with sword energy. When the sword array appeared, even Xueqi raised her head. Her eyes were filled with surprise. The power of this array formation was beyond her imagination. Hua Tu was so scared that he cried. What's going on? Isn't his Golden Crow array formation the strongest? Why is this array more terrifying than the Golden Crow array formation? It was too late for him to run away now. He could only grit his teeth. The saber light that filled the sky shot out and destroyed everything. However, in the 5-element sword array, it kept shattering. In an instant, the heavenly path array formation was broken. Hua Tu quickly ran away. Boom. When 9th young Master Yen saw this, he slapped Hua Tu and turned him into a bloody mist. Hua Tu's soul was destroyed by him. Lad, just you wait. This matter won't end like this. After he spoke, he turned around and left. It was too shameful. The 2 formation geniuses that he had found couldn't even withstand a single blow from him. How could he still have the face to stay here? Lin Xian sneered coldly. I'll teach you a lesson anytime. He withdrew the 5-elemental sword formation with a hint of disdain in his eyes. After 9th young Master Yen left, Xueqi stood up and said, You hid your power before. You didn't say that I couldn't hide my power. Lin Xian turned around and looked at her with a smile. Xueqi frowned when she saw his nonchalant attitude. She opened her mouth once again and said, "I told you not to provoke ninth young Master Yan. Didn't you understand what I said? In my opinion he isn't worth fearing." Lin Xian shook his head. Xueqi's frown deepened. She discovered that he didn't seem like a battle servant. Instead he seemed like a supreme genius. Xueqi was even surprised by him. It seemed like there was a layer of mist around him that she couldn't see through. It seemed like she would have to study him carefully after the matter of the formation was over. "Let's go and set up the formation." Xueqi spoke once again. However, Lin Xian didn't leave. He said coldly, "Look at the formation you set up. If I'm not mistaken, you must be going to an ancient land." Xueqi was taken aback when she heard this. "How did you know?" Lin Xian said that the formation you set up was a way to break formations. It was obvious that the place you were going to has a more terrifying formation. That's why you are preparing it now. Those who possessed such terrifying formations were usually passed down from ancient times or came from even more terrifying places. Chapter 4440. What do you suggest? Xueqi asked. She didn't notice that her attitude had changed. If it were other battle servants, they would have to kneel on the ground if they wanted to talk to her. However, she was now asking for Lin Xian's opinion. Lin Xian said, "I can help you set up the array you want." Moreover, he could even accompany her to that place because he could break the formation. "However, you must give me some time. Give me 3 months and give me a quiet place to cultivate. I might make a breakthrough. During this process, no one is allowed to disturb me, and no one is allowed to investigate me, including you. If you can do it, I will help you complete the formation and I will even help you break the ancient place." "Okay, no problem, I promise you." Xueqi approved of Lin Xian's formation skills. She could afford to wait for 3 months. Therefore, she found a place for Lin Xian, and ordered that no one was allowed to approach it. Even she herself started to cultivate in seclusion. The place where Lin Xian was at was a mountain range. It was very wide. After he arrived, he set up his own array formation. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. Then, he recovered to his peak state, and with a flip of his palm, he took out the 9 Revolution Inferno fruit. Buzz. He activated his divine body, and terrifying flames surged out. They seemed capable of burning the 9 heavens. In the next moment, the 9 Revolution Inferno fruit sensed the might of the 9 suns' divine flame, and a terrifying aura erupted from it. Its might wasn't any weaker than the 9 suns' divine flame, and it was even stronger. As expected of the legendary divine fruit, Lin Xian was overjoyed and he started to absorb the fruit's power. 3 months later, Xueqi looked into the distance and her eyes flickered. It had already been 3 months and that guy still hadn't made any move? Could it be that he was going to continue cultivating? She had obtained some information recently, and it seemed like some changes were about to occur in that place. If other people were attracted, it would be troublesome. Therefore she was somewhat anxious. On this day, a rumbling sound was suddenly heard in front of her. Then the sky started to shake and countless cracks appeared in the sky. It seemed like the ground was about to split open. It formed many large canyons that extended in all directions. At this moment, everyone in the mansion was stunned. They thought that someone was attacking. Countless figures soared into the sky. One soul after another spread out in all directions to investigate. Xueqi was startled. She had sensed that the sound had come from Lin Xian's direction. She then said that everyone should retreat and that everything would be fine. Although the surrounding people were puzzled, they all withdrew their souls. It was no longer probing. The tremors in front of them became more and more intense. In the end, there seemed to be terrifying thunder falling from the sky. One after another, they pierced through the world. At this moment, not only the entire mansion, but even the people of the Thousand Mountain Cave were alarmed. Countless people looked into the distance. That seemed to be a lightning tribulation. Was someone undergoing a tribulation? Princess Xueqi's residence was in that direction. Could it be that she had made a breakthrough? Exclamations could be heard one after another. Even the Saint Kings were alarmed. This was because the lightning calamity this time was extremely terrifying. Moreover, if he broke through again, he would become a true king sage. This was an extremely heaven-defying feat among the young people. This was why many Saint Kings flew over. As for the young geniuses, their eyes were filled with envy. There was even a middle-aged man who laughed heartily. "Xueqi, are you going to make a breakthrough?" This man was Xueqi's father. He was also a Saint King and he was extremely powerful. However, after these Saint Kings arrived, they all stopped. This was because they discovered that Xueqi's residence had a formation array activated. It enveloped everything and no one was allowed to enter. This made Xueqi's father even more certain that she was making a breakthrough. This was why he said that they should just wait and see. The other Saint Kings didn't dare to disturb him and they all nodded. Xueqi, who was in the mansion, was also alarmed. The lightning calamity caused her hair to stand on end. What is this guy doing? Is he going to make a breakthrough and become a Saint King? However, this shouldn't be the case. She had checked Lin Xian's cultivation before, and it was only at the intermediate stage of the Saint Venerable realm. Even if this guy wanted to make a breakthrough, he would only be at the late stage of the Saint Venerable realm. How could he attract such a terrifying heavenly tribulation? She didn't know. After waiting for 9 days, the terrifying lightning calamity slowly disappeared, and countless large cracks appeared in the sky. A figure walked out of it. It was Lin Xian. At this moment, Lin Xian wore a smile at the corners of his mouth. He was very happy. Previously, he had absorbed the 9 revolution flame fruit, and his divine body had made a breakthrough again. Although his cultivation was still at the intermediate stage of the Saint Venerable realm, his current divine body was already comparable to a Saint King's. This was a terrifying transformation. This meant that ordinary half-step Saint Kings couldn't even break his defense. Lin Xian was finally able to contend against a Saint King. As he thought of this, he clenched his fists. The next step was to make a breakthrough in his cultivation. However, before that, he didn't forget what he had promised Xueqi. This was why he walked out. Xueqi opened her eyes wide and she looked curiously at Lin Xian. This guy's cultivation didn't seem to have changed. Although it was slightly stronger, it didn't make a breakthrough. Then what was the lightning calamity? Xueqi asked curiously. However, Lin Xian shook his head and said that it was his secret. Xueqi curled her lips and said, "You are really stingy." Xueqi curled her lips and said, "Okay, I won't ask about your matters. However, you must fulfill your promise to me." Lin Xian nodded and said, "Of course. Now I will do my best to help you and complete the formation. I can even go with you to that place." "Okay, you can set your mind at ease and set up the formation." After Xueqi spoke, she flew outside. This was because she knew that she was now the center of attention. Countless gazes were looking at her, and there were even many Saint Kings among them. She must go out and explain this matter to them. Princess Xueqi came out. The people outside cried out in alarm. Did Princess Xueqi already become a Saint King? The terrifying lightning calamity in front of her must have been a success. Some people were about to congratulate her, but when they saw that Xueqi was still a half-step Saint King, they were stunned. Xueqi's father was also stunned. "What's going on? Xueqi, did you fail?" Xueqi didn't know what to say, so she said, "Father, this matter isn't like what you think. Forget it, let's talk about it later. Seniors, please go back." After that, the Saint Kings left, and the mansion quieted down once again. As for Lin Xian and Xueqi, they put all their efforts into setting up the formation. After a month, they finally finished setting up the formation successfully. "This is great. With these formations, we will have a higher chance of going to that place." A smile appeared on Xueqi's ice-cold face once again. Even Lin Xian was stunned. At this moment, a flying sword flew over from afar, and there was a formation on it. Chapter 44-41. Not good. What happened? Lin Xian asked. Xueqi said that there were some changes in that place and it was discovered. Now many experts were going there. Since this is the case, let's not waste any time and go. Lin Xian said in a low voice. Xueqi shook her head. "I'm afraid that with our current strength we can't go there. We have to borrow the power of the Grotto Heaven. How about this? Wait for me and I'll report this to the Grotto Heaven. Then we can go there together." To be honest, Xueqi was unwilling. After all, she was the one who discovered that place. No one else had discovered it. She wanted to go there alone. That way she could get as many treasures as she wanted. But now she couldn't. The experts of the other Grotto Heavens and families had also discovered it. If she went there alone, she wouldn't have any advantages. So she could only borrow the power of the Grotto Heaven. Although she would get fewer treasures in the end, it would be better than going there alone. But it would be safer. When the Grotto Heaven heard the news, they were shocked. They hurriedly sent people to investigate. Sure enough, they found that it was a strange place. Furthermore, many experts had already begun to move out. The Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven also gathered a group of experts, led by the Sage King. They were ready to go. Among them, Yanjiu was also there. He also brought his powerful battle servant. Besides him, there were also some top geniuses. They all brought their battle servants and prepared to go there. Xueqi only brought Lin Xian with her. A group of people gathered at the square. Then they sat on huge spirit boats and sage weapons and soared into the sky. They set off towards that strange place. At the Mount Han. Here, ice covered everything. It was very cold and ordinary sages didn't dare to go there, because they would be frozen into ice. On this day, there were countless rays of light that streaked across the sky above the Mount Han. The terrifying aura shone on Zhao Yao. This place was really strange. On a spirit boat in the distance, a figure sighed. Lin Xian and the rest were also in this team. It was the team from the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven. They had finally arrived. If I'm not wrong, this should be a place left behind from the Antiquity Age. We've already flipped through the ancient books. It's very likely that the residence or inheritance of an ancient expert is buried here. At the very least, he was at the level of the great sage. Was this a cave left behind by a great sage? When the surrounding people heard this, they all took a deep breath. The great sage was an existence that everyone had to look up to. Even their grotto heaven did not have many great sage, and they were all living fossils. He wouldn't use it unless he had no other choice. Now, if they could obtain the inheritance of the great sage, their martial path would improve once again. Everyone was extremely excited, and even Xueqi was the same. Lin Xian was also surprised, and a smile appeared on his face. The ancient great sage? I hope you don't disappoint me. At this moment, quite a few people had already arrived at Mount Han. These people stood on different sides, exchanging greetings with each other. Then he became vigilant. After all, after coming here, everyone was a competitor. At this moment, someone below exclaimed, "Look, more people are coming. It should be the people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven." Many people looked over, and their gazes were like divine lamps that illuminated the world. Lin Xian and the rest of the people's spirit boats were also descending. When they finally arrived at the bottom, they could feel the powerful icy aura around them. Many people gasped. It was really a terrifying place. No wonder ordinary sages did not dare to come here. After the people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven arrived, other experts also came. Even the people from the Xiling Grotto Heaven and the Green Hill Grotto Heaven came. In addition, the people from the Howren Grotto Heaven were also here. These people were not weaker than the people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven. Therefore, when they arrived, their powerful auras suppressed the entire area. In addition to these Grotto Heavens, there were also some other families. In short, there were many people who came. After all, a great sage and something left behind by the great sage from the ancient times was enough to tempt these Grotto Heavens. Lin Xian looked around and found that those families were very strong and even stronger. For example, the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven had sent 8 Saint Kings. The weakest ones left were Saint Venerables in the later stage. There were even more Saint Venerables and half-step Saint Kings, and most of them were of the younger generation. One could imagine how powerful they were. And the other Grotto Heavens were similar to them. However, the Xiling Grotto Heaven sent 4 Saint Kings, which surprised countless people. The people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven looked at the Xiling Grotto Heaven and snorted. After all, they knew that the Xiling Grotto Heaven had attacked their disciples before. The people from the Xiling Grotto Heaven looked around. They also knew about the death of Sir Ling Su and the others immediately. Later they also went to investigate and even found out about the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven. However, the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven did not give in. In the end, when they found out that it was the Xiling Grotto Heaven who attacked first, the Xiling Grotto Heaven had no choice but to put this matter aside for the time being. However, they also did not give up on the mysterious person. They felt that someone seemed to be targeting them, so this time they sent the 10 Great Sage Kings. They thought that it should be foolproof. On their spirit boat, there was also a young man who looked somewhat similar to Sir Ling Su. His aura was even more terrifying. Although he was also a half-step Saint King, he was much more powerful than Sir Ling Su, and his aura was similar to Xueqi's. He should be at least at the level of Sir Yanjiu. This person was Sir Ling Su's elder brother, Sir Ling Tian. Feeling the gazes of the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven, the people from the Xiling Grotto Heaven also turned their heads. The leader of the group, an old man, laughed and said, "Friends from the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven, you are quite early. You are not slow either." The leader of the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven was an elder. Elder Tian's cultivation had reached the middle stage of Saint Venerables. On the other side, the leader of the Xiling Grotto Heaven was an elder. He was called Elder Jinpeng and he was a rare beast. His cultivation had also reached the middle stage of Saint Venerables. As he spoke with a smile, he looked at Xueqi and the others. Then he smiled and said, "This must be Princess Xueqi. I heard that she cultivated the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven's unique skill, the Dark Ice formula, and she has already cultivated it to the 6th level. Now that I have seen her, she is indeed extraordinary. It seemed that the laws in this cold mountain had also improved. Senior, you are too polite, Shueqi said flatly. The people from the Xiling Grotto heaven all looked over and stared into the distance. Many people's eyes immediately shone with a cold light. This person was the legendary heaven's favored daughter. Many people had heard of her name, but this was the first time they had seen her. Among them, Sir Ling Tian naturally saw her. Chapter 44-42. Of course he didn't dare to be careless. This was because their elders had praised the other party to remind them that the other party had cultivated the black ice technique, which was a terrifying technique. In this cold land, the other party was extremely powerful. They had to be extremely careful if they encountered him. The people from the other grotto heavens also came over to greet each other. They were all investigating the other party's information. At this moment, a beam of light streaked across the sky from afar. It was a demonic beast with its wings spread out. There were two people standing on top of it. They were like gods and demons. They were extremely powerful and even stopped above the grotto heavens. The experts from the surrounding families were all shocked. Who are they? They didn't even put the grotto heavens in their eyes. Are they from another grotto heaven? They were all discussing this. The people from the four grotto heavens also frowned and looked up at the sky. In the next moment their pupils shrank. The Sage King elders also flew up into the sky. They even bowed respectfully to the three figures when they arrived above them. This shocked countless people. They were all stunned. The grotto heavens were the overlords of this land. There were actually people who could make them so afraid. Then who are these two people? Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes and looked up at the sky. It was a man and a woman. Their bodies were shining brightly, blocking all soul detection. It was obvious that they had treasures on them. However, these two people looked very young, but they were both Sage Kings. This was really shocking. However, it wasn't enough for the elders of the grotto heavens to curry favor with them. At this moment, Shueqi said that she didn't expect the people from the Misty Peak to come. The Misty Peak. Lin Xian frowned. What is this? Is it more powerful than the grotto heavens? He asked in a low voice. Shueqi looked at him and said, You just came here, so you might not know about our land. The grotto heavens were the overlords. There were a total of 6 grotto heavens. In addition, there were many powerful families. Most of these families were from the 10,000 ancient races. However, their strength was still weaker than the grotto heavens. This was because the experts of these families had joined the grotto heavens. Therefore, the grotto heavens were stronger. The strength of the 6 grotto heavens was about the same. Above the 6 grotto heavens, there was another supreme existence, and that was the ethereal peak. If the grotto heavens were the sacred cultivation grounds of the 10,000 ancient races, then the ethereal peak would be the sacred cultivation grounds of the grotto heavens. Hearing this, Lin Xian understood. It must be an even more terrifying existence. As expected of the buried Emperor Star, even its heavenly grotto heaven was so terrifying. How terrifying was the Misty Peak? Shueqi didn't mention any specific information, so it seemed like Lin Xian would have to investigate this matter himself in the future. However, he did learn another piece of news, which was that many geniuses from the heavens had joined the Misty Peak too. One of Shueqi's goals was to join the Misty Peak. The Misty Peak? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. If he could join them, would he be able to break free from the suppression of the heavenly abode? At that time he would descend as a disciple of Ethereal Peak. Thinking about it, those grotto heavens wouldn't dare to make a move against him. Even if he wanted to kill the Star Sage King, it would be even easier. As if she had guessed Lin Xian's thoughts, Shueqi said, Don't think about it for now. You should stay by my side and help me set up the array. Lin Xian shrugged his shoulders and didn't say anything. Indeed, the most important thing now was to increase his cultivation. The others were also whispering among themselves. For example, 9th Young Master Yen, Young Master Ling Tian, and the others' eyes shone with a sharp light. Their goal was to join the Misty Peak and become a supreme existence. In the sky, the elders who had left also returned. The two figures stood in the sky and didn't seem to have any intention of coming down. As for the other 4 grotto heavens, they gathered together and discussed. All right, let's begin. Everyone took a deep breath. They knew that they would enter Mount Han next. Suddenly Lin Xian was stunned. His eyes shone with a sharp light that pierced through the void. Shueqi, who was beside him, was shocked. Even 9th Young Master Yen frowned. Many people looked over and Shueqi frowned. Are you crazy? What are you trying to do? The golden light in Lin Xian's eyes disappeared. However, the killing intent in his eyes didn't disappear. He stared at the Violet Spirit Grotto. To be exact, he was staring at young Master Ling Tian. There were many figures beside young Master Ling Tian. They were all battle servants. These battle servants were wearing purple robes. Their faces were covered by cloaks and couldn't be seen clearly. However, Lin Xian still took a glance at them. He realized that there was one person among them whom he was extremely familiar with. It was Fu Hongya. Fu Hongya was caught as well. It seemed like she had also become a battle servant. Damn it. He couldn't stand it. If Fu Hongya was captured, what about the others in Peerless City? Were they going to become battle servants? He looked around and checked. When he found that the others weren't around, he calmed down a little. Of course, this didn't mean that the others had run away. It was just that they didn't participate in this mission. Fu Hongya's face was expressionless. She didn't respond to Lin Xian's gaze. Young Master Ling Tian, who was in front of her, frowned slightly. He also turned around and looked at the battle servant. In the next moment, he sneered coldly. He saw that a battle servant was emitting killing intent toward him. He was stunned. A mere battle servant was like an ant in his eyes. He really didn't know what was good for him. If it wasn't for the fact that Xueqi was standing next to him, he would have attacked him and killed him already. Who is that person? Lin Xian asked. Xueqi looked ahead and spoke calmly. Young Master Ling Tian has a younger brother called Young Master Ling Su, and he's the one who tried to kill you. Is it him? Lin Xian remembered. It was that person's elder brother. Great. He wouldn't let him go. If he had the chance, he would send him to hell. Lin Xian removed the killing intent in his eyes and took a deep breath. He started to wait patiently. The Saint Kings of the four great grotto heavens started to work together to attack the seal. So many Saint Kings worked together and took out Saint artifacts. Some of them even took out arrays. They started to crack it. It was really earth-shattering. Even so, it took them a whole day to crack it. A big crack appeared in front of them. It spread out like a giant beast. The people in the surroundings all took a deep breath. Did they finally crack it? Great. They could enter. The people from Xiling Grotto Heaven were the first to enter, followed by the people from Howren Grotto Heaven and Qingqiu Grotto Heaven. Let's go. The people from Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven took a deep breath and flew in as well. Behind them were the two people from Misty Peak who were standing in the sky. Then, it was the other families and experts. Chapter 44-43. They had thought that they would find all kinds of cavern residences and palaces inside, but they found that it wasn't the case. After they entered, they found that there was a big river in front of them, which blocked all their paths. Moreover, it was just like the sea, which stretched as far as the eye could see. What was so bad about it? They could just fly. A strong cultivator soared into the sky and flew forward. The others also prepared to leave. However, at this moment the situation changed. The strong cultivator had just left and arrived above the big river when countless frost appeared on his body, and he turned into an ice cube. He fell into the river and disappeared. This scene stunned everyone. Even those who were about to move stopped in their tracks. The strong cultivator was a half-step Saint King. He was very powerful. However, he died in an instant. After waiting for a long time, they still didn't see that person appear. So, they concluded that he must have died. At this moment, everyone's scalps went numb. They didn't expect that it would be so dangerous when they just entered. Those Saint Kings also frowned. Did they have to leave? They looked at each other, and a Saint King even turned into a clone and flew out. In the end, it was frozen by countless ice cubes. Everyone was shocked by this scene. Even a Saint King couldn't do it? Many people were worried about how to cross. Even the two people from the Misty Peak frowned slightly. Lin Xian used his heavenly secret divine eyes and looked ahead. He found that there were countless ice cubes in the river. It was obvious that someone had come here before and they all died here. His heavenly secret divine eyes also found that there seemed to be extremely terrifying laws in the surroundings. They were affecting this space. It was obvious that he couldn't take risks easily. If he had come alone, he would have been able to use his 9-yang divine body to defend himself. However, he didn't do so now. Moreover, a smile soon appeared on his face. It's here. Xueqi was stunned. She didn't know what Lin Xian meant by this. However, she also found out after a short while. Many lotuses floated over from the river in the distance. Those lotuses were blue and they were made of frost. There were 10,000 lotuses and they were about the size of a door. Those lotuses floated over from afar, and the people in the surroundings started talking. Could it be that they could only leave by using lotuses? Someone took a deep breath and jumped up. Sure enough, in the next moment, it continued to float into the distance along with the lotus. This scene caused everyone to exclaim in surprise. Sure enough, these people began to move. Let's move as well. The people of Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven took a deep breath. Among them, ninth young master Yen led a few battle servants to a lotus. He turned to Xueqi and said with a smile, "Xueqi, come with me. I will protect you." However, Xueqi shook her head and said, "There's no need." She and Lin Xian went to a lotus. Seeing this, ninth young master Yan's face turned cold again. Damn it, he actually didn't give him any face. He stared at Lin Xian, his eyes brimming with killing intent. If he had the chance, he would definitely kill this brat. In fact, he was not the only one who was surprised. The others were also surprised. This was because Xueqi was a peerless fairy, and she attracted countless gazes. Moreover, the other party's face was as cold as an iceberg, as if no one could get close to him. However, at that moment he had brought someone with him. Furthermore, that person was a young man. It was impossible for the crowd not to be surprised. When they saw that the young man was wearing the armor of a battle disciple, they were all shocked. They knew that he was Xueqi's battle servant. Even so, many people were still envious of him. Some people's eyes even brimmed with killing intent. Xueqi didn't care about these gazes. Lin Xian shook his head helplessly. He had made so many enemies for no reason. However, so what? He had been fighting all this time and he had never been afraid. Moreover, these grotto heavens were too hateful. His friends and fellow disciples were all suppressed and turned into puppets. Even if these people didn't attack him, he wouldn't let these grotto heavens go. One day he would trample these grotto heavens under his feet. When they reached the lotus, it started to walk on the water's surface. Lin Xian didn't know where it floated to. Moreover, he quickly discovered that these lotuses' trajectories were different. In other words, they were different for each person. From the looks of it, these lotuses had split up all of the huge troops. This meant that the danger they faced had increased by several folds. Of course, Lin Xian didn't care about this at all. This was because they could use their advantage to their advantage. In the end, they reached the opposite shore. Then they walked over it. The aura in the surroundings was somewhat gloomy, and snowflakes appeared once again. An ice-cold aura pervaded the air, and as they walked, their feet were covered with frost. It seemed like even the laws were about to freeze. Xueqi didn't care about this at all. After all, the mysterious ice art that she cultivated was a peerless ice magical ability. The frost made her feel even more powerful. She was slightly worried about Lin Xian. After all, Lin Xian was just a middle-stage Holy Venerate. Even a late-stage Holy Venerate would have to use his full power here. This was why she shot out frost, intending to envelop Lin Xian and reduce the pressure on him. However, she discovered that Lin Xian was standing there calmly. There wasn't even a speck of frost on his body. It seemed like he wasn't affected at all. This surprised her. What's going on with this guy's body? Why isn't it affected at all? However, she still enveloped Lin Xian with a layer of laws. Lin Xian was taken aback. He glanced at her and thanked her. Although this guy was ice-cold, he didn't seem like a bad person. Xueqi turned her head and said calmly, "Don't think too much. I just don't want you to freeze to death so quickly. After all, your formation is useful to me." Lin Xian shook his head. She was really cold. They continued to walk forward, and there were a few figures nearby who also walked up to them. When they saw that it was Xueqi, they wanted to invite her to form a team and explore together. However, Xueqi shook her head and rejected them. The other people were helpless and they could only continue on their own. After a short while, the sound of fighting could be heard ahead of them. Lin Xian and the others were surprised. The two of them also walked over. Soon after, they saw that the people in front of them had been stopped. There was a black-robed man in front of them, and his aura was extremely terrifying. It was a holy king. Lin Xian furrowed his brows. No, it wasn't a holy king. The other party was a half-step holy king, but he was holding a holy king weapon. What did this guy want to do? The black-robed man in front of them raised his head and looked at Lin Xian. He then said with a smile, "More people have come. Another one is a peerless fairy. Seems like my luck is really good. Now hand over your storage rings obediently. I can give you a chance to live." Hateful. What a joke. The people in front of them were instantly infuriated. Their storage rings were basically all of their cultivation resources. As for their secrets, they couldn't hand them over. You've gone too far. Don't you know who we are? You have offended us. Even if you get them, you will surely die outside. The black-robed man laughed. Do you know who I am? Chapter 44:44. As for this saint artifact, don't even think about it. This saint artifact has never appeared before, so you don't know my identity. Even if I kill you here, the grotto heavens and families behind you won't be able to find me. Hurry up, I'll give you 10 seconds to think about it. After 10 seconds, I don't mind doing it myself. After he finished speaking, the Saint King weapon in his hand released an extremely terrifying aura. The expressions of those people in front of him became extremely ugly. Damn it, he's going too far. Everyone, let's attack together. As one of them roared, the 6 of them attacked together. Heaven and earth rumbled, and a terrifying aura tore the void apart. It made everyone's scalps go numb. However, the black-robed man in front of them sneered when he saw this scene. They were overestimating themselves. He waved the Saint King weapon in his hand. It was a long saber, and when the saber slashed down, the 6 figures were all sent flying, and their bodies were split open. One strike injured 6 experts, and one could imagine how powerful this person was. Of course, he relied on the Saint King weapon in his hand, but no matter what it was, no one could compete with him. Boom. Another strike fell, and the 6 people's bodies, which had just healed, were sent flying again while vomiting blood. The black-robed man said, "Did you see that? You'd better obediently hand over your storage rings. Otherwise you'll end up worse than him." The expressions of the other people became even uglier. However, at this moment, a cold snort was heard. "You're too arrogant. Do you really think that you can sweep away everything with a saint artifact?" When those words came out, the surrounding people were all stunned. The black-robed man also raised his head and looked forward. Soon he sneered. He didn't expect that there would be a peerless fairy here. The others also turned their heads around. In the next moment they exclaimed in surprise. "That must be the genius of the Thousand Mountain Grotto, Shueqi." Yes, they didn't expect that she would also come. Could it be that she also has a Saint King weapon in her hand? It's possible because it said that her identity is not ordinary. The people started discussing. The black-robed man was also stunned. "So, you're the legendary Shueqi. Now that I've seen you, you're even more beautiful than the rumors say. You want to compete with me? Do you have a Saint King weapon? If you do, I can let you go. If you don't blame me." The black-robed man sneered. So what if the other party's identity was not ordinary? If he made a move here, the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven would not be able to find him. "I don't have a Saint King weapon, but I don't need a saint weapon to deal with you." Shueqi snorted coldly. Despair appeared in the eyes of the others once again. The black-robed man, on the other hand, laughed loudly. "No sacred artifacts? You still dare to be arrogant in front of me? You're too naive. Where do you think this is? Thousand Mountain Cave? Here no one will give in to you." At this moment, the black-robed man's laughter suddenly stopped, as if he had been caught by someone. This was because a faint voice rang out. She was right. The Sage King's weapon was powerful, but it was not invincible. "I don't need a Saint King weapon to kill you." What? Everyone was stunned and turned to look. However, when they saw that it was only a battle servant who was only at the middle stage of the Saint Venerable realm, they were all stunned. How could such a person dare to speak such arrogant words? His cultivation was probably the lowest among all of them. The black-robed man also stared at Lin Xian. "So it was just an ant. Since you don't know what's good for you, I'll send you on your way first." He walked forward. The others retreated. They looked at Lin Xian and shook their heads. However, no one helped him, because they were not confident that they could fight against the black-robed man. Lin Xian looked at the black-robed man and smiled. He said, "Are you sure you want to attack me? You can't bear the consequences." "Stupid kid, don't worry, I won't kill you. I'll make you suffer a fate worse than death." Facing Lin Xian, the black-robed man did not use a Saint King weapon. Instead, he directly stretched out a palm and slapped forward. In his opinion, there was no need to use a Saint King weapon to kill an ant. The others also cried out in surprise. They all felt that Lin Xian was dead for sure. However, in the next moment, a roar sounded, and a bloody mist filled the sky. Everyone was stupefied. Was that brat dead? They looked over and realized that he was not. The black-robed man was the one who was injured. Half of the black-robed man's body turned into a bloody mist. Lin Xian stood there with a cold smile on his face. How is this possible? What just happened? They were all stunned. The black-robed man was injured. The black-robed man's pupils contracted. He could not believe what had just happened. He roared crazily, and the bloody mist that filled the sky condensed back into his body. "Damn kid, I didn't expect you to be a genius. You dared to plot against me." This time he used the Saint King weapon in his hand. As the blade slashed down, the wind and clouds swirled. Even Shueqi's eyelids twitched. She could not help but want to attack. However, she discovered that Lin Xian's speed was extremely fast, and he managed to dodge the blade. At the same time, he stomped his foot, and countless arrays appeared in the surroundings, enveloping the whole sky. Arrays? Can you contend against me? The black-robed man snorted disdainfully. Lin Xian did not intend to continue attacking. Instead, he stood there and said, "Do you want to live? If you want to live, then listen to me and cooperate with the arrays." What? A mere battle servant dares to order us around? The people in the surroundings were infuriated. They were all top-notch geniuses or powerhouses who could come here, and they were usually proud and arrogant. However, they were now being ordered around by someone. They could not accept this. However, Lin Xian said, "I will give you a chance. If you refuse, then don't blame me for not saving you." The people in the surroundings sneered coldly. What a joke. They wanted to run away. They wanted to help this battle servant. This was why some people wanted to run away. Who wanted to run away? The black-robed man shouted angrily and slashed two people in half with his blade. Their souls were extinguished. The people in the surroundings were frightened, and they did not dare to run away. The black-robed man was still so powerful. Lin Xian said, "You have already lost your best chance. Since you don't want to attack, then I will do it myself." He weaved hand seals and a terrifying array surged out. 36 golden crows soared into the sky and shone brightly. They turned into peerless suns that illuminated the whole world. Their terrifying aura melted the ice and snow in the whole world. When the black-robed man sensed this, he roared crazily and waved his blade to contend against it. His arm was numb. He realized that the other party's array was really powerful. Even if he could get in front of the other party was extremely fast and seemed to know spatial techniques. He could not hurt the other party at all. Therefore he roared, "Kid, I will let the two of you go. I will apologize for what happened before. How about we stop here? You go your way and I will move my hand." Chapter 44-45. The black-robed man was taken aback, but he soon understood what was going on. He nodded and said, "Fine, I was unlucky. I kicked an iron plate. I will give you half of my storage ring." Lin Xian took back the formation, while the black-robed man waved his hand and looked at the other people. "Since you don't want to hand it over, don't blame me for taking action." He attacked the other people. The other people were startled and they all shouted at Lin Xian, "Hero, save our lives." "Yes, young master, please help us." Lin Xian sneered coldly. "Didn't you look down on me and think that I was just a battle servant? Didn't you think that you were aloof and didn't want to help me? Why are you begging me now? Did I tell you? I only gave you one chance. Since you don't cherish it, don't blame me for what happens next." The crowd despaired. Some people gritted their teeth. They had already missed their chance once and they didn't want to miss it again. This was why they threw their storage rings at him. They immediately ran away. There were still some people who hesitated and they were all turned into blood mist. In just a short while, those people either ran away or died. Only 3 people were left in the vicinity. They were the black-robed man Xueqi and Lin Xian. Xueqi was startled. She didn't expect that Lin Xian would have such an ability. The black-robed man took out half of his storage ring and gave it to Lin Xian. "This is for you, my friend. How should I address you?" Lin Xian took the storage ring and said, "You don't need to know who I am. After all, we aren't on the same side. I will spare you this time, but you'd better not run into me next time. Otherwise, I won't be able to deal with you with just this storage ring." After Lin Xian spoke, he turned around and said to Xueqi, "Let's go." Xueqi nodded and walked over. Both of them then flew away. The black-robed man's gaze became gloomy as he looked at their departing backs. He was really an arrogant lad. However, his opponent's formation was extremely powerful. He really didn't have any way to deal with him, so he had to look for other prey. After Lin Xian and Xueqi left, he asked, "Where are you going?" Xueqi said, "Let's find a place with the most terrifying ice and snow energy. There should be treasures there." He said, "Let's find them." Then he said, "Let's go over there." The two of them rose into the air and flew into the distance. In front of them was an icy canyon, and beside the canyon were 2 ice sunflowers. These weren't ordinary sunflowers. They were 2 demonic beasts that were extremely terrifying. Judging from his aura, he was already a half-step holy king. At this moment, several holy venerates stood in the surroundings, preparing to attack the ice sunflower. Soon, someone walked out and used a peerless divine ability from the university. Terrifying light shone brightly, shrouding heaven and earth as it charged forward. However, the ice sunflower continued to sway, and the sunflower seeds flew out like flying swords of ice, piercing through everything. It pierced through that person's divine ability. Not only that, but that person also vomited blood and was sent flying, several bloody holes appearing on his body. His body was sealed in ice and he couldn't even use his strength. Seeing this scene, the others were also shocked. However, another person said, "Let's join hands." These people joined forces and prepared to step forward. Stop it. However, they had still underestimated the two sunflowers. These two ice sunflowers were truly too powerful. Their sunflower seeds seemed to have turned into thousands of flying swords, sweeping through everything. Unexpectedly, half of the people were killed while the other half were injured and they quickly retreated. Damn it. The treasure was just in front of them but they couldn't go over. It was too hateful. These people fled far away, gnashing their teeth. They were unwilling to accept this. Suddenly they were taken aback because they discovered that two more rays of light were flying toward them. Someone was coming. However, what could two people do? In this place, these two ice sunflowers were too terrifying, and they would need at least 4 half-step holy kings to suppress them. Xueqi looked ahead and spoke. That's right, there was a powerful ice element energy there. Moreover, there was someone else. Lin Xian used his heavenly secret divine eyes and looked ahead. Soon he saw that a great battle seemed to have taken place in front of them. The two of them were very fast, and after they descended, they saw many traces of a battle on the ground. There was also blood. It was holy blood, which was extremely terrifying. The two ice sunflowers in front of them kept dancing. They even let out ice-cold laughter, which made people's hair stand on end. Foolish humans, you want to contend against us? You really don't know the meaning of death. Hurry up and get lost. The treasure here isn't something you can get. These two ice sunflowers spoke in human language. They were so arrogant. They were just two demonic beasts, yet they dared to be so arrogant. Before Lin Xian could speak, another cold laughter echoed from the sky. Shortly after, 3 people descended. It was a young man who had terrifying purple lightning on his body. At the same time, there were 2 battle servants behind him, and they were also extremely terrifying. The 3 of them were unexpectedly half-step holy kings, which was really shocking. That's great. When the people in the distance saw this scene, they all cried out in surprise. Including Xueqi, there were 4 half-step holy kings. Perhaps they could suppress the 2 ice sunflowers in front of them. This fairy must be Princess Xueqi. I am from the Purple Spirit Cave and my name is Zilei. Why don't we join hands and kill these 2 demonic beasts? Then we can take the treasure together. What do you think? The other people also wanted to join hands, but Zilei just snorted coldly and said, "Trash like you, get lost." He waved his hand and a bolt of lightning flew out and struck the 3 of them. The other people were also frightened and they quickly retreated. This person was too strong and he was too arrogant. He didn't even give them a chance. He was really hateful. Xueqi frowned slightly while Lin Xian said, "We won't join hands with you." What did you say? Zilei was stunned and he stared at Lin Xian. He laughed and said, "You are just a battle servant. Do you have the right to speak here?" Lin Xian sneered coldly. "Your Purple Spirit Cave attacked our Thousand Mountain Cave, and now you want to join hands with us? What a joke." Sure enough, Xueqi also said that. "That's right, I won't join hands with you." Zilei frowned. "Princess Xueqi, you better think clearly. How can you suppress these 2 demonic beasts with your own strength? Even if you are also an ice element martial artist, so are your opponents. You don't have any advantage. Moreover, you actually listened to a battle servant's suggestion. How disappointing. Don't you think it's ridiculous? If you want to take the treasure, you can only join hands with me." Lin Xian's expression darkened and he said coldly, "Who do you think you are? Hurry up and get lost. Otherwise I will kill you." What did you say? Zilei was furious. He had never been challenged by a battle servant before. He immediately said to a battle servant beside him, "Go and chop off his head. I want him to suffer a fate worse than death." A battle servant beside him walked over. He was also a half-step holy king, and he held a long spear in his hand. He was also an ice element martial artist. Chapter 44-46. You dare to attack my people? Have you thought about the consequences of your actions? Xueqi furrowed her brows, and an ice-cold glint appeared in her eyes. Princess Xueqi, our statuses aren't ordinary. There's no need for you to get angry over a battle servant. As he spoke, the saint with the long spear had already attacked. His spear pierced through like an ice dragon. The surrounding people exclaimed. They all knew that Lin Xian was dead for sure. As for Lin Xian, he took a step forward. He sent a slap over. It was as if his palm had transformed into a sun that blossomed between the heavens and earth. The ice and snow that filled the sky disappeared. Boom. After one strike, the spear shattered. The half-step Saint King battle servant also spat out blood and flew back. His body was torn apart. His body was enveloped in divine flames, which burned continuously. The surrounding people were all stunned. He had killed a half-step Saint King with one strike. This kid's strength was too terrifying. Purple Thunder was also stunned, unable to react for a long time. How could there be such a terrifying expert? In the next moment, an extremely cold light burst out from his eyes. Damn it. No wonder Xueqi had such an extraordinary status, yet she had only brought one person with her. It turned out that she was a top-notch expert. It seems like I've still underestimated you. Princess Xueqi, you really have great means. However, are you really not going to join forces with me? Xueqi was also surprised. She knew that Lin Xian was powerful, but she assumed that if he wanted to defeat a half-step Saint King, he would have to rely on a formation. But who would have thought that the other party would be able to end the battle with a single palm strike? The strength of his physique was beyond her expectations. I told you to get lost, did you not understand? Lin Xian also walked out and stared at Purple Thunder. Since he wasn't leaving, then he might as well stay. He took a picture in front of him. Purple Thunder's pupils shrank. You're courting death. So what if the other party was strong? He was only a battle servant. Would he dare to make a move against him? Let's kill him together. Zilei roared in anger as lightning surged from his body. The other person beside him also attacked, turning into a gust of wind that tore through the void and charged towards Lin Xian. Two half-step Saint Kings attacked together. Their power was terrifying. The surrounding people were all stunned. Unexpectedly, the people from the two grotto heavens came in and started fighting in advance. In the distance, the two sunflowers coldly laughed. Foolish humans, they were actually fighting here. When the time came, they would be able to reap the benefits. The two men sneered. Xueqi also wanted to help him, but she discovered that the battle had ended very quickly. This was because Lin Xian's punch had sent that Saint King flying backwards, blood spurting from his mouth. His body was torn apart. Then Lin Xian kicked out. There were endless flames on it. Other than that, there was no other power of law. It was the power of the divine body. On the other side, the Purple Thunder formed into a lightning spear. It was unparalleled, and the terrifying power of thunder and lightning carried a destructive aura as it pierced through the heavens and earth. It collided with Lin Xian's right leg. Everyone began to worry about Lin Xian. However, this time the crowd discovered that nothing had happened. Lin Xian was unharmed, while the Purple Thunder was sent flying backwards. His body was also torn apart and he spurted out a large mouthful of blood. Lin Xian's body flickered, and he stepped on the Purple Thunder's body. Do you think that you are superior and can look down on me? I think that you are the foolish one. Shock, everyone was stunned. What is going on with this guy's body? Xueqi also opened her eyes wide. She couldn't believe it. The Purple Thunder's mind went blank and he let out a crazy roar. This is impossible. I don't believe it. The three of them were actually unable to block the opponent's attack? Especially the Purple Thunder, who was now being stepped on. Damned lad, you dare to attack me? Do you know who I am? Before the Purple Thunder's words could finish, Lin Xian slapped him and shattered his face. Who are you? I don't care who you are. Today, even if you are a Saint King, you will still die. Boom. After he spoke, he stomped his feet, and his boundless divine body's power smashed the Purple Thunder's body into pieces. Even the Purple Thunder's soul was instantly destroyed. What did I do? What did I do? I unexpectedly killed a Paradise's genius. Did I go crazy? They couldn't even withstand a single blow. Lin Xian sneered coldly and he took their storage rings and weapons. Then he shook his head. His current body was at the Saint King realm, and no matter how strong these half-step Saint Kings were, they couldn't contend against him. They couldn't even block a single strike from him. Did you kill him? Xueqi was also surprised. Lin Xian said, I already told him to get lost, but he didn't want to leave. He wanted to die, so I sent him to hell. Xueqi was surprised. She felt that he wasn't a battle servant and he was more like a top-notch genius. He was like the supreme existences of the Misty Peak who could look down on everything. Come to think of it, the other party should also be an unparalleled genius in other worlds. However, it was a pity that he was suppressed by their paradise after he came here. No matter how strong he was, his future would be bleak. Lin Xian didn't think this way and he didn't say anything. He just said, okay, let's deal with these two demonic beasts. After he spoke, he walked forward, and a ball of 9 suns divine fire appeared in his hand. It was like a golden crow and it kept circling around. The 2 sunflowers were also taken aback. This human is so strong, and his body seems to have surpassed that of a half-step Saint King. The 2 sunflowers discussed this matter and they snorted coldly. Lat, you are really strong, but you are still not a match for us here. Terrifying ice and frost emanated from their bodies, and the 2 sunflowers started becoming bigger and bigger. They turned into 2 giant creatures, and their terrifying auras became even stronger. Darn it! These 2 sunflowers were hiding their power. If they joined hands, they would be as strong as a Saint King. The people in the distance fell into despair once again. Even Xueqi wore a grave expression. Lin Xian said, "It seems like our formation is about to appear. Let's attack." Xueqi nodded. Then, the 2 sunflowers started forming hand signs and setting up a formation around them. Their spell formations flew out. It was a heavenly steel formation and it was used to suppress everything. After the formation was set up, 49 heavenly steel illusions appeared in the sky, and they suppressed everything. The 2 sunflowers shouted angrily, and they waved their giant bodies, which seemed like saint artifacts, and they swept everything around them. At the same time, they shot out sunflower seeds which filled the sky, and they turned into tens of thousands of flying swords. The people in the surroundings still wanted to approach them, but they were instantly sent flying. They all spat out mouthfuls of blood. It was impossible for them to participate in a battle of this level. On the other side, in the boundless snowy mountain, several people were surrounded by terrifying purple light, and it seemed like thunder could penetrate everything. After killing several demonic beasts in front of them, one of them furrowed his brows. It was a middle-aged man and he waved his hand and took out a badge. Chapter 44-47. When the others saw this scene, they frowned. Purple Lay was actually killed? Damn it! Who did this to him? The middle-aged man was a sage king. He formed a seal with his palm and endless laws flew into the token. The broken token started to burn and turned into a blurry image. At the same time, a purple light flashed in his eyes. He saw a figure surrounded by golden flames punching out, destroying everything in its path. Then he said, "This is the person who did it. He should be a fire elemental sage." Moreover, he already knew the direction of Purple Lay's death. Those people shouldn't have gone too far. Let's go quickly. This was a team of 5 people and the leader was the Sage King. They quickly flew into the distance. The others' faces were cold. However, to attack the people of the Violet Spirit Paradise, they had to be careful. They had to make the other party suffer a fate worse than death. On the other side, Lin Xian and Xueqi were fighting against the 2 sunflowers. One had to admit that the 2 sunflowers were very powerful. The flying swords they shot out were very terrifying. Moreover, there were so many of them that they seemed endless. What surprised Lin Xian even more was that the power of the 2 sunflowers didn't weaken. Instead, it continued to increase. It seemed that there was something that was giving them power. Gong power. He used the heavenly secret divine eyes to observe as he set up the formation. Soon he discovered that there was a stone in the canyon. The stone was as big as a millstone. After the stone was broken, it formed many pieces. The biggest one was as big as a bowl. The rest were as big as a fist and some were as big as an apple. In short, they were scattered in a certain area. At this moment, the sunflowers were absorbing the power of the stone. At this moment, Xueqi frowned and said, "If I'm not wrong, there's definitely an Ice Soul Divine Crystal here. The 2 sunflowers must be borrowing the power of the Ice Soul Divine Crystal. Hurry up and find it." The Ice Soul Divine Crystal was a supreme treasure to an ice elemental sage. Lin Xian was also surprised when he heard that. He nodded. He naturally knew where it was. However, he didn't say it immediately. Instead, he secretly transmitted his voice to Little White. Back then, Little White, the dark red divine dragon, and the toad had come together. Whitey followed beside him while the dark red dragon and the toad split up. Therefore, Lin Xian didn't know about their situation. After Whitey came out, she looked into the distance. His figure flickered and disappeared. Then he hid in the void and disappeared. Not long after, Little White returned with the 2 largest Ice Soul Divine Crystals. The whole process was silent, and Xueqi didn't notice it. However, the 2 sunflowers found out because they felt that it gave them something. Gong's Ice Soul Divine Crystal suddenly decreased. Immediately they let out crazy roars. Who was it? Lin Xian said, "I've already found the location of the Ice Soul Divine Crystal. Hurry up and go." Xueqi was delighted. Is this true? A smile appeared on her face. Then a blue long sword appeared in her hand. He swung his sword forward. Lin Xian said, I'll control the array. Go quickly. Lin Xian took over the formation and began to control it. The two sunflowers roared, wanting to attack. Jia. However, he was slapped by Lin Xian's palm. After Xueqi left, Lin Xian didn't hide anything in the array. His divine body appeared, and terrifying flames caused the expressions of the two sunflowers in front of him to change drastically. They became alarmed. Is this the aura of flames? Heavens! This should be the legendary divine flame. This is an extremely powerful body. Such a person was an extremely terrifying existence on the buried Emperor Star. How could he be a battle servant? The two demonic beasts went crazy. Who the hell are you? They asked in alarm. Lin Xian said, You don't know who I am. If you don't move, I'll spare your lives. Also, ask her to leave a piece for you. The two sunflowers thought for a moment and said, Fine. They didn't dare to attack. This was because this kind of body was their greatest restraint. When Lin Xian saw this, he nodded. He said, Xueqi, leave a piece for them. Xueqi, who was below, saw the Ice Soul Divine Crystal. When she heard Lin Xian's words, she was startled. However, she also left a piece for herself. She put away the rest of the crystals. Soon she arrived above. When she saw that the two sunflowers weren't fighting, she became confused. What's going on? Lin Xian, who had already put away his 9-yang divine body, spoke. Maybe they didn't want to fight after witnessing my strength. Since I already got it, let's go. Xueqi nodded. Then she took out a piece of the Ice Soul Divine Crystal and said, This is for you. Although I know that you don't comprehend the laws of ice, you still put in a lot of effort. You should take it. Perhaps you can exchange it for other treasures after you leave. When Lin Xian heard this, he nodded and took it. He didn't care about it because he had already taken the two biggest pieces of the Ice Soul Divine Crystal. After all, Xueqi's pieces weren't even as big as his. The two sunflowers put away the array and prepared to leave. However, it was at this moment that several terrifying auras appeared in the distance. A Saint King's aura even engulfed heaven and earth. At the same time, he roared, Who dares to attack a member of the purple spirit shaking the heavens? Kneel down and accept your death. When these words were spoken, the people in the surroundings were so scared that they almost knelt down. It was too terrifying. A Saint King had come. Xueqi's expression also changed. Oh no, let's leave quickly. They didn't expect that the purple spirit shaking the heavens members would come so quickly. Moreover, there was a true Saint King among them. No matter how strong the two of them were, they couldn't be compared to a true Saint King. The two of them soared into the sky and flew toward the distance. However, at this moment, a palm engulfed heaven and earth and sealed everything. It seemed like the Saint King had attacked directly. Xueqi's expression changed drastically. Even the apex geniuses wouldn't be able to fight against a Saint King. Sure, if they possessed a heaven-defying magical power, they could fight a Saint King. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to overcome this power and the suppression of the laws. Lin Xian set up an array formation, which was a spatial array formation. He immediately left the space and appeared on the other side. Then he said, You should leave first. What about you? Xueqi was taken aback. This is a Saint King. Do you want to contend against him? Lin Xian said, My mission is to protect you. You should leave first. As he spoke, he used a spatial array to engulf Xueqi. Xueqi still wanted to say something, but her body had already disappeared. Lin Xian's eyes, however, shone with an extremely cold light. A Saint King? He also wanted to see how powerful his divine body had become after it had broken through to the next level. Chapter 44-48. In the sky, the Saint King from the Xiling Wonderland shouted angrily. Do you want to leave? He attacked again, wanting to attack Xueqi. In his opinion, Xueqi might be the one who attacked him. However, at this moment, a terrifying radiance burst out from below. It was as if a sun had descended to the world. Then, a golden figure charged out like a god of war. Do you want to die? When the Saint King sensed that the opponent's aura was not that of a Saint King, the palm in the sky fell down. A mere ant dared to go against him? Lin Xian, on the other hand, attacked aggressively. His fist seemed to have transformed into a peerless golden crow that soared into the sky. It collided with the opponent's palm. Boom, boom, boom. When the two collided, the sky fell and the earth cracked. It was as if the world was about to be destroyed. The people in the distance knelt on the ground. Their scalps went numb and they almost fainted. After the attack, the terrifying palm in the sky was pushed back. The Saint King's pupils contracted. His physique was so strong that it was not weaker than his. Who is he? His eyes could see through everything. However, at this moment he saw the golden fist coming toward him again. You want to die? He shouted angrily and threw out two palms. He collided with the opponent again. After an earth-shattering sound, he was pushed back. The geniuses from the wonderland behind him were stunned. What the hell? Who is this person? Is he another Saint King? They did not dare to move forward. On the other side, the golden figure also rushed into the sky and disappeared. Elder, who exactly is he? Do you know which wonderland he is from? The people from the Xiling wonderland asked. The Saint King leading them looked cold. He did not seem to have the aura of a Saint King, but his physique was not weaker than mine. I don't know which side he is from. However, I think the people around us should have seen it. We should be able to find out after we collect their souls. Let's go. The four figures beside him flew into the distance, wanting to collect the souls. However, at this moment, a pair of golden eyes appeared in the sky. They were like the eyes of a god looking down. The terrifying eye technique was activated. Those who had watched Lin Xian's fight were instantly affected by the eye technique, and their memories were changed. Damn it. The middle-aged Sage King wanted to attack, but the pair of golden eyes had already disappeared. His expression became even colder. Could it be that there was more than one person? Not only was there a person with an extremely strong physique, but there was also an extremely terrifying soul expert? Who exactly was it? On the other side, Lin Xian also flew into the distance. Previously, he had exchanged 3 palm strikes with the Sage King, allowing him to know his own strength. His current physique was definitely not weaker than a Sage King. Therefore, even if he met a Saint King in the future, he would be able to contend against them. This made him really happy. Lin Xian didn't immediately join Xueqi. After all, it would be best for him to act alone. With his strength, as long as a few saint rulers did not join hands, he would not be in any danger. With a sway of his body, Lin Xian flew towards a direction in the distance. At the same time, an extremely terrifying law of death emerged from his body and enveloped him. In this space, the great snow mountain was vast and boundless. Within the snowy mountain was a pagoda. Ice tower. The pagoda exuded an extremely mysterious aura as great Daos intertwined within it. Obviously, this was a martial pagoda, and there were definitely supreme great Daos within it. It was very useful for sage venerables to raise their law of death. It was even very useful for sage kings. At this moment, there were a few figures standing near the ice martial pagoda. These people's strength and auras were unusually strong. There were young geniuses, and there were also experts of the older generation. One of them had boundless arrogance in his eyes. He was young Master Ling Tian. Other than him, people from the other grotto heavens were also present. Green Hill Grotto Heaven, Vast Grotto Heaven, and some primordial tribe experts were also present. There were even sage kings present. These people gathered together and looked at the ice martial pagoda in front of them. Their eyes shone brightly. Let's break the array seal in front of us together. Young Master Ling Tian walked out and said coldly. There were 3 battle servants behind him, including Fu Hongye. Fu Hongye was expressionless as she followed behind him respectfully. Hearing young Master Ling Tian's words, the others looked at each other and nodded. Sure. These people attacked together and broke the array seal in front of them. Then they walked into the ice martial pagoda. Not long after they entered, another figure descended from the sky. This person had an extremely strong death aura. It was Lin Xian. Lin Xian looked at the pagoda in front of him and was shocked. What a strong martial aura. The array seal had already been broken. It seemed like someone had entered. He activated his heavenly secret god eyes and a smile appeared on his face. He was not too late. His body swayed and he walked into the ice martial pagoda. After he entered, the icy aura inside became even more terrifying. Fortunately, with his divine body, he did not need to defend himself. Soon he arrived at the front. The people in front of him had already stopped. This was because they realized that there was a huge statue there. It was emitting a faint blue light. It was carved out of ice crystals. At this moment, the statue was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It was emitting an extremely terrifying aura. It was surrounded by a vast hall. Other than that, there was not much else. This shocked everyone. Could it be that there was no treasure inside? Suddenly, they heard another aura coming from behind them. Someone had entered? Who was it? They had worked together to open the treasure vault and did not allow anyone else to enter. Immediately, many terrifying gazes turned to look behind them. Their gazes were filled with murderous intent. Those who were weaker would not be able to withstand it. Lin Xian naturally felt the pressure too. He frowned and shouted coldly. He threw out a punch. The black palm shone with a golden light as it tore the void apart. Then he came to the front of the crowd. In front of them. This person was not simple to be able to avoid the pressure of so many people. Everyone frowned. In the next moment they saw a figure surrounded by black laws standing in the air. The cold aura on him made them feel extremely uncomfortable. Young Master Ling Tian also turned around and frowned. He asked coldly, "Which grotto heaven or family do you belong to?" Hearing this voice, Lin Xian turned his head to look. When he saw that it was young Master Ling Tian, his face darkened. This was a good opportunity. If he killed young Master Ling Tian, he should be able to meet Fu Hongye. He said calmly, "I'm a rogue cultivator." A rogue cultivator? He had no right to be here. Another person snorted coldly. This was a person from the ancient race. He had a terrifying frost on him. He was from the ice serpent race. Chapter 44-49. Lin Xian stared at the person who spoke. It was a young man who was a half-step Saint King. Clearly he was a genius from the ancient race. Lin Xian looked at him and suddenly smiled. In the next instant he attacked. Boundless death precepts formed a sword of death and flew out. "You're courting death. You dare to attack me?" The young man roared in anger and slapped out with his palm. Freezing cold covered the sword of death and froze it in mid-air. A cold smile appeared on his face. "Do you see that? The difference between us is that." Before he could finish speaking, his pupils constricted. In the next instant he felt a figure appear behind him. A palm had turned his body into a bloody mist. How could it be? When did the other party appear behind him? He was too shocked. However, he didn't have to think about it anymore because this palm had destroyed his astral soul. Lin Xian killed a half-step Saint King with a single palm. Then he asked indifferently, "Now, am I qualified?" The surrounding people were shocked. This person was very terrifying. Moreover, his strength was too strong. It was really shocking. When the other members of the Ice Serpent clan saw this, they shouted angrily, "You're courting death." They attacked frantically, ice arrows and ice blades flying over. However, Lin Xian suddenly disappeared, leaving behind a death vortex that emitted a terrifying aura. This made the members of the Ice Serpent clan extremely uncomfortable. "Alright, stop attacking. He's qualified to be here." At this moment, an elder said coldly. This elder had an unusually strong aura that seemed to be able to suppress the world. This was a Saint King from Howren Grotto Heaven. Since a Saint King had spoken, the others didn't attack. Young Master Ling Tian glanced at Lin Xian and sneered. He didn't care if there was one more person because in his opinion, it didn't matter if there were a few more people. As long as there was a treasure, it would be his in the end. There seemed to be nothing on the first level. The surrounding people started to investigate and found that there was indeed nothing. At this moment someone said, "There's a staircase. Let's go over." They walked toward the staircase wanting to enter the second level. However, they found that there was a huge seal at the staircase. Was it another seal? One of the Saint Kings threw a punch at him. This was a Saint King from the Thousand Mountain Grotto. Lin Xian had seen him before. He was called the Earth Holy King. He was an expert of the earth element. His strength and defense were extremely strong. His punch could definitely shatter a world. However, the seal didn't budge in the slightest. Was he that strong? Everyone was astonished. It seemed like they had to work together. Another two Saint Kings walked over and joined forces to attack. However, they discovered that it was completely useless. The faces of the crowd turned extremely ugly. Even with three great Sage Kings attacking at the same time, they still had no chance? At this moment, Lin Xian activated his heavenly secret god eyes and looked at the ice sculpture in front of him. "Don't waste your energy, you won't be able to open it." What was the meaning of this? Are you doubting our strength? The three Saint Kings in front turned their heads and emitted a piercingly cold light. The void around Lin Xian kept cracking. Even though his current physique wasn't weaker than a Saint King's, being stared at by three Saint Kings still made him feel extremely pressured. He said loudly, "I'm not doubting your strength, but I'm saying that your method is wrong. I think the key to entering the second level should be him." He pointed at the ice sculpture in front of him. The surrounding people also looked over. "That thing? Are you sure?" The Earth Saint King asked in a deep voice. Lin Xian nodded. "You should be right. If I'm not wrong, this should be an array and the ranking statue is the key to the array. Since that's the case, I'll just blast it away." The great Earth-Sink King threw out a punch. His strength was shocking. With a boom, the entire world began to shake and sway. However, the statue wasn't damaged. Damn it, was it really that sturdy? The Earth-Sink King frowned and took out a mountain-splitting axe. That was the Sink King Wu. At this moment, he exploded with boundless power and wanted to attack again. Lin Xian frowned. This guy was too crazy. The Earth-Sink King was a very tall man like a giant. Lin Xian looked at him and said with a frown, I advise you not to attack. Since this is an array, you have to follow the rules of breaking the array. If you attack rashly, it might cause unnecessary trouble. Hearing this, the others also said, Enough, Earth-Sink King, stop. Let's hear what this guy has to say first. Lin Xian's entire body was wrapped in the aura of death, and when he spoke, his voice was hoarse. Therefore, in the eyes of the crowd, he wasn't a young man at all. He might be an expert of the older generation. Lin Xian raised his hand and conjured a formation that enveloped the area in front of him. Immediately, the ice sculpture shook non-stop. Countless laws of ice appeared around him, enveloping the surroundings. Soon, countless rays of light formed an ancient arena. It seemed like a battle was about to start. Many people sucked in a deep breath when they saw this. The Earth-Sink King even said, I'll do it. This guy's speed was really fast. Many people were surprised. In their opinion, if they won, there might be some mysterious reward. However, it was unlikely for them to go up, because there was a change in front. After the Earth-Sink King went up, cracks appeared on the ice sculpture in front of him. Then with a crack it cracked open. A figure walked out from inside. With a roar, the 9 heavens and 10 lands shook. It was a blue demonic beast. It was covered in blue frost and its cold gaze swept across everything. It looked like a lion, but it was even more unique. Its tail was like a meteor hammer. Its body was like a small mountain, and there was a pair of blue wings on its back. When it spread out, the temperature of the entire space kept dropping. Even the half-step Sink Kings resisted with all their might. Even the Sink Kings frowned. How terrifying. It was actually a rare beast of heaven and earth. Lin Xian also looked carefully and then frowned slightly. He realized that the other party was indeed very strong. It wasn't weaker than a Sink King. And from the looks of it, this guy shouldn't be a normal rare beast of heaven and earth. It seemed to have been refined by someone. It was actually the Ice Snow Fong. This was a legendary demonic beast. It was really surprising to see it here. Hearing this voice, Lin Xian felt that it was familiar. He turned his head and then narrowed his eyes. It was a woman in a Taoist robe. She held a round fan in her hand and gently waved it. There was a mysterious aura all over her. Lin Xian had seen this person before. She was Yin Su from Qingqiu Grotto Heaven. He didn't expect her to come too. Feeling Lin Xian's gaze, Yin Su also turned her head and looked over. Confusion appeared in her eyes. Chapter 4450. Shaking his head, he looked to the front. There were 2 figures standing in front of him. They were Earth-Sink Kings looking like dragon war gods. On the other side, Bing Shuafeng was even more terrifying. His body was emitting an aura, especially when he swayed his tail. Just when everyone was in shock and analyzing the battle, the Earth-Sink King shouted, What kind of mutated beast is this? How many years have you been freezing this place? You must be some kind of puppet. Go to hell. He threw out a punch. The powerful force, along with a monstrous aura, awakened Bing Shuafeng. So what if his opponent was strong? He was a Sink King. He was fearless. Bing Shuafeng's eyes shone with a terrifying light. He then roared, his voice shaking the 9 heavens. Looking at the fist that was rushing towards him, he also slapped out with his claw. Wherever the blue claw passed, it froze the world. It also carried a terrifying aura of the law. Boom. The collision between the two was earth-shattering. Then both of them retreated. The Earth-Sink King was shocked. Damn it, his strength is so strong. However, take my punch. As he spoke, he used the Earth Divine Fist. The terrifying law was displayed to the extreme. A layer of armor appeared on his body. It seemed like he did not intend to dodge. He wanted to charge over with his powerful strength. On the other side, Ice Snow Teeth also roared towards the sky. Endless ice and snow surrounded him, forming a terrifying ball of ice and snow. He charged over directly. The power contained in the ball froze the entire land. Break. The Earth-Sink King's attack was frozen in midair. The ice even spread to his body. His legs were frozen. Even his hands were covered in ice. It seemed like he was going to become an ice sculpture. At that moment, he took out his heaven-splitting axe and slashed forward. Boom. This attack was terrifying. It directly hit Bing Shuifang's body. Bing Shuifang was instantly sent flying and fell to the ground. It caused the void to crack. A huge crack appeared on his body. However, no blood flowed out from it. On the other hand, Bing Shuifang roared. The blue wings on his back flapped violently. His speed was extremely fast. He quickly charged towards the Earth Saint King. The entire Martial Path Pagoda was shaking under his attacks. How terrifying. This guy was crazy. When the surrounding people saw this scene, their faces became incomparably solemn. The Earth Saint King took a deep breath and gripped the sky-splitting axe with both hands. Then a terrifying power of law surged out. Endless laws of earth appeared on his body and enveloped him. In fact, everyone felt as if the ground beneath their feet had come alive. A monstrous aura spread out in all directions. The soul of the earth. It seemed like this guy was going to get serious. The Saint Kings of the Grotto Heaven took a deep breath. Lin Xian looked serious too. As expected of a Saint King, he was really strong. Although his physique had reached the level of a Sage King, there was still a certain gap between him and a Sage King in terms of nomological laws and other divine abilities. He clenched his fists. He had to quickly increase the power of the Great Dragon Sword Soul and let it reach the Saint King level. At that time he would truly be a fearless Saint King. Thinking of this, he secretly gave the 2 pieces of Ice Soul Divine Crystals to the Great Dragon Sword Soul so that it could quickly absorb the energy and improve. At this moment, the 2 people in front of him clashed again. The sky-splitting axe swept out in all directions, together with the power of the soul of the earth. On the other side, Bing Shui's body was covered in endless icicles, and the great path of frost filled the sky. The 2 great paths were constantly intertwining, and the 9 heavens and 10 lands were trembling. Fortunately, the martial pagoda was very magical. Otherwise, the entire world would have been shattered if it was any other place. It was a shocking battle. In the end, the Earth Saint King kept retreating. Endless rocks condensed on his body to form a battle armor. It protected his body. The soul of the earth even merged with him. The sky-splitting axe in his hand became dim. However, he managed to block the shocking attack. The storm in the sky was shattered by him. On the other side, Bing Shui was sent flying again. The cracks on his body were even more terrifying, almost splitting him in half. Ka. A blue ball of light appeared in his body and flew toward the Earth Saint King. As for Bing Shui's body, he was once again covered in ice and turned into an ice sculpture. What's going on? Is it over? When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were all stunned. The Earth Saint King was extremely nervous. In the next moment, he felt an extremely terrifying power of the law coming from the ball of light. Moreover, there was no danger. His body swayed and he grabbed the blue ball of light. Suddenly, endless great paths wrapped around his body. This was the power of the law. Defeating the sculpture meant that they could obtain the power of the law. Everyone's eyes turned red. At their level, they could destroy the world with a raise of their hand. However, it was very difficult to improve further. The resources and power needed were really too much. They might not even improve for a few hundred years. However, it was possible under special circumstances. For example, if they found some treasures in this ancient secret realm, they could save hundreds or thousands of years of cultivation. This was a great opportunity for everyone. They did not expect the Earth Saint King to obtain it. Lin Xian was also surprised. He used the heavenly secret god eyes and saw that the Earth Saint King's law contained a layer of frost power. Obviously, this was the law power that he had just obtained. At the same time, the Earth Saint King saw the stairs in front of him shining. He walked forward. Everyone, I'm going to the 2nd level. The other people's eyes turned red and they also followed. However, they were blocked. The Earth Saint King walked over. Damn it, we can't go up. The Saint Kings all turned their heads and stared at the ice sculpture. Only by attacking and defeating him would they be qualified to enter. In an instant, everyone went up the battle stage. Lin Xian naturally went up as well. However, everyone was worried. With so many people attacking together, who would be the winner? However, in the next moment they realized that there seemed to be a barrier around them. Each and every one of them. There was a frost tooth in front of them. What a terrifying formation. Lin Xian was surprised. He realized that this did not seem to be an illusion. The power of each frost tooth was not weaker than the previous one. Boom. A great battle instantly broke out. It was very terrifying. In an instant, many people were sent flying and vomited blood. These were all late-stage Saint Venerables and half-step Saint Kings. They originally thought that with a dozen battle servants attacking together, they could at least resist. Chapter 44-51. After a single move they were sent flying and injured. This made them not dare to rely on the test anymore. They could only stay outside and wait with gritted teeth. It seemed that unless one was a true Saint King, it was impossible for others to pass. Some people gritted their teeth and turned to leave. They did not have the strength of a Saint King at all. Of course, some people stayed here. That was because their elders and experts were inside. Someone said, "No, there are still a few of us who haven't come out." Are you talking about young Master Ling Tian? Although he is a half-step Saint King, I'm afraid his methods are far from what we can compare to. It might even be beyond our imagination. Also, Insu from Qingqiu Grotto Heaven did not come out either. Meng Hao from Haoran Grotto Heaven did not come out either. The young genius from Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven did not seem to come. However, the Earth Saint King from Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven was extremely terrifying. Everyone was discussing. Someone said, "Oh right, the mysterious person from before seems to have gone in too. He hasn't come out yet." These people were all waiting. In front of them, an endless storm of laws was set off. There was also a sky full of frost, covering everything. The people could not see clearly at all. They could only hear extremely terrifying auras clashing. Lin Xian looked around and found that this barrier was very mysterious. Even a Saint King could not see through it. This made him heave a sigh of relief. This was great. This way he would have no worries and could directly attack with all his strength. The ice fang in front of him roared into the sky. The crack that was shattered by the Earth Saint King had disappeared. This meant that the other party had indeed been refined by an even more terrifying existence. It was equivalent to a puppet guardian. The ice fang roared, shaking the heavens and the earth. Its huge body charged over. It carried a storm that filled the sky. Its wings also carried a fierce aura. In an instant, Lin Xian's surroundings were frozen and covered in frost. Lin Xian was also frozen. Its terrifying claws slapped over, wanting to smash Lin Xian into pieces. Lin Xian sneered. The death precept on his body disappeared and was replaced by a ball of divine fire. It was so terrifying that the 9 suns' divine fire instantly exploded. The frost in the sky melted and turned into white mist. It danced between heaven and earth. As for him, he sent out a palm strike. The 9 suns' divine palm collided with the opponent's claw. An earth-shattering sound rang out. Lin Xian took 3 steps back while Ice Snow Teeth was also knocked back. What a strong power, but so what? Lin Xian laughed heartily and charged forward. Previously, he had only exchanged 3 blows with the sage ruler of the Xiling Grotto Heaven. He then left. Now he was truly going to make a move. His terrifying fists continued to swing as his powerful physique charged forward and engaged in a fierce battle with his opponent. The battle between the two was earth-shattering. After exchanging tens of thousands of blows, Lin Xian let out a hearty laugh. It had been a long time since he had fought someone like this. However, he also knew that it was time to end this. He took out the Spear of Great Destruction and used the power of his divine body to complement this inherited weapon. He was probably extremely strong. A single strike pierced through heaven and earth. Endless demonic chi shook the 9 heavens and 10 lands. At that moment, even the people outside were frightened. Who was attacking? Even the people in the other barriers also changed their expressions. What a terrifying demonic aura. There was also a terrifying power. Who was it? Even the sage rulers were extremely surprised. Finally, Lin Xian defeated Ice Snow Teeth. A blue light came out of Ice Snow Teeth's body. Lin Xian used the Great Dragon Sword Soul and directly swallowed the power of the laws. The Great Dragon Sword Soul now urgently needed all kinds of power to improve. This power was amazing. Great. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. Such a battle should have consumed a lot of energy. However, Lin Xian could feel that his strength had become even more powerful than when he had entered. Great. Lin Xian was overjoyed. If he could reach the top of the pagoda. He didn't know how strong the Great Dragon Sword Soul would be. Thinking of this, his figure swayed as he directly walked out of the barrier and toward the stairs in front of him. At the same time, the golden flames on his body disappeared. What replaced it was the death fog again. Before him, a sage ruler had already entered. It was the sage ruler of Haoran Grotto Heaven. After him, there were also sage rulers who came out. For example, the sage ruler of the Ice Serpent clan and other sage rulers. There were a total of 6 sage rulers. Other than that, there were half-step sage rulers. Among the half-step Saint Kings there were 3 people. These 3 people were also extremely powerful. The first was young Master Ling Tian. Although young Master Ling Tian was a half-step sage ruler, he had a sage ruler weapon in his hand. Not only him, but Meng Hao of Haoran Grotto Heaven and Yin Su of Qingqiu Grotto Heaven also had Sage Ruler weapons in their hands. Therefore, the three of them also successfully passed the first level. After obtaining the power of the laws, they continued to move toward the second level. When the three of them arrived, they found that there were already 7 people standing in front of them. 6 Sage Rulers and a mysterious person. Other than that, there were only the 3 of them. The other experts and geniuses were not qualified to enter. Lin Xian looked at the 3 of them and revealed a look of surprise. As expected of the buried Emperor Star. The 3 of them should have used their trump cards. He guessed that they should be Sage Ruler weapons. 10 people more than he had imagined. Including the second level, let's not be courteous. In front of them, the elder from Haoran Grotto Heaven said loudly. Their gazes were all focused on the front. There was also a large hall in front of them, and in the middle of the hall, there was also an ice statue. At that moment, as the crowd walked forward, the ice statue was constantly shaking. Then countless cracks appeared and a barrier was formed. Amidst the shattered ice, a figure walked out. When this figure appeared, everyone's expression changed. They felt an extremely terrifying aura sweeping over from the front. It caused everyone's bodies to stiffen. Even Lin Xian felt an enormous pressure. So powerful. The guardian puppet of the second level was probably much stronger than the guardian puppet of the first level. Dragons and 3-eyed ice dragons. Damn it, it was actually such a powerful existence. When the elder from Haoran Grotto Heaven saw this, his expression turned ugly. He said, "Hurry up and leave if you don't have the strength." After saying that, he looked at the genius from Haoran Grotto Heaven. It was Meng Hao. When Meng Hao heard the elder's warning, he wanted to retreat, but it was too late. Countless barriers appeared around them, enveloping them. Not good. The elder from Haoran Grotto Heaven's expression changed. He did not expect it to be so fast. He did not know how their people were doing. There was no other way. Here life and death were up to fate. Even if they were defeated, they should be able to stay alive. When they thought about how these people all had Sage Ruler weapons, they were not too worried. In the next moment, the Sage Ruler's expressions turned cold as they looked forward. Even if they wanted to defeat such an existence, it would not be easy. Damn it, who the hell is this guy? The Guardian Refined was too powerful. This pagoda had a total of 7 levels, and the second level was already so terrifying. Chapter 44-52. Everyone's faces were extremely serious. Even Yin Su, Meng Hao, and the others took deep breaths. They knew that it was impossible for them to pass the trial. Hence, they decided to use all their strength to train themselves. Young Master Ling Tian's eyes flickered. No one knew what he was thinking. But soon he broke into a grin. The 3-eyed ice dragon's aura and strength were extremely powerful. It was much more terrifying than an ordinary initial stage Saint King. Hence, no one dared to underestimate it. Dragons were the leaders of all monsters. They had the legendary bloodline of the divine beast. They were extremely powerful. Thus the crowd all felt enormous pressure. The Earth Saint King took a deep breath. He looked extremely solemn. He also felt a sense of danger. He was very clear about his own strength. He was afraid that this battle would be extremely difficult. However, he still made his move. His eyes became sharp and the law of earth appeared on his body. In an instant he used the vigor spirit. Then a giant axe appeared in his hand. He slashed the axe forward. The terrifying power could split the world. On the other side, the 3-eyed ice dragon also made his move. He roared and the storm on his face turned into frost. He flew out. It collided with the mountain-splitting axe. Boom. With one blow the Earth Saint King was sent flying. Countless cracks appeared on his hands. He could not even hold his own. She almost couldn't hold it in anymore. His opponent did not even come. He only shot out a ray of light and it was already so terrifying. As for the dragons, it was said that their physique was even more terrifying. If this continued, he would not have any chance of winning. As expected, he was injured even more severely. On the other side, the other 5 holy lights were also in great danger. Lin Xian stood there with a strange look on his face. The Dragon Clan? To be honest, if it were other monsters, he would not have any chance of winning this battle. After all, they were too powerful. They were far more powerful than the ice teeth from before. However, if it were the dragons, it would be different. Up ahead, the 3 eyes of the 3-eyed ice dragon looked at Lin Xian with disdain. Clearly, in his opinion, such an ant would not even be able to block a single ray of his frost light. Buzz. Suddenly, an extremely cold light burst out from his eyes. Without waiting for his opponent to make a move, he used the dragon's breathing technique. A mysterious aura appeared between heaven and earth. The three-eyed ice dragon was stunned. He felt the same aura. Was this person in front of him a dragon? He was not sure. He roared. The light of frost came straight at him. Lin Xin used the void escape technique and instantly dodged. A black hole appeared where he had been standing and was quickly sealed in ice. Most likely, even a saint ruler would not be able to withstand this attack. However, Lin Xin used his spatial mystique breathing mystique. Coupled with the dragon clan's breathing technique, the power of the great dragon sword soul was even stronger. Dragon was dragon, Shen was dragon dragon. The three-eyed ice dragon was dragon. The three-eyed ice dragon was even more confused now. It lifted its head and roared as if questioning Lin Xin. Lin Xin then took out the blue dragon horn. The voice of the dragon horn could be heard. The dragon horn could command dragons. When the three-eyed ice dragon heard it, it changed. He seemed to be suppressed. It was a suppression from the soul. Although he was now a puppet guardian, he was still a dragon. Under the dragon horn, his power was suppressed. This was a good opportunity. Lin Xin activated the great dragon sword soul and performed the azure dragon horn with all his might. There was no suspense in this battle. Sure enough, the dragon sword soul's power was fully activated. The dragon horn showed its power. The three-eyed ice dragon did not attack. The frost on his body condensed again, forming an ice sculpture. Lin Xin succeeded. He let out a sigh of relief and put away the dragon horn. Lin Xin walked out. Then he entered the third level. He actually went in. Insu exclaimed. Meng Hao's pupils constricted. The two of them had been beaten out earlier. They were waiting in the distance. When they saw Lin Xin come out, they were shocked. He was the first one to come out. It was unbelievable. How could this person be so terrifying? After all, the strongest of the 6 Saint Kings was the old man from vast heavenly grotto, who was very close to the mid-Saint King level. Next to him was the Saint King from the divine mammoths. After him were the Earth Saint Kings. They guessed that the elders from vast heavenly grotto had come out earlier. But then they realized that they were wrong. Was it really that mysterious person? Boom. It was at this moment that a huge boom rang out. Next, a figure was sent tumbling backward, coughing up blood. It was Saint King Ice Snake. Meng Hao and Yin Su were both shocked. Had a Saint King finally been defeated? Saint King Ice Snake was a middle-aged man, and his face was as pale as death. Damn it. Damn it. Truth be told, he was very strong, but unfortunately he was an ice snake. He was from the ice serpent race, and when he encountered the ice dragon race, his bloodline and soul were naturally suppressed, and he could not use his full strength. And so he was defeated. Following that, more and more Saint Kings were defeated. They weren't willing to give up, but after coming out, they were all seriously injured and could only grit their teeth. They wondered who would pass in the end. Saint King Ice Snake frowned. On the other side was Saint King Blackhawk, who radiated boundless killing intent. My guess is that there are at most 2 people who passed. Elder Howren is one of them. Other than him, the divine mammoth sacred king might have succeeded. However, it was at this point that Meng Hao said, "Seniors, the mysterious person from just now has already passed through to the 3rd level." What? Once these words were spoken, the expressions of the Saint Kings changed. Someone had already successfully passed? Damn it, who the hell is that mysterious man? I don't seem to sense the aura of a Saint King on him. Could it be that he was hiding his true strength? This person is terrifying. If we run into him in the future, we'll have to be careful. The Saint Kings began to discuss the matter. It was at this point that Elder Howren let out a roar and charged out immediately. He did it. Meng Hao was delighted and clenched his fists. After emerging, Elder Howren entered the 3rd level. Not long after him, another tall figure appeared. His power was even more terrifying than that of the Saint Kings in the grand competition. He was Saint King God Mammoth, who was also from the 10,000 primeval tribes, and had an extremely powerful bloodline. He also emerged from the 3rd level. However, he didn't seem to be in good condition. His blood was stained and he seemed to be seriously injured. And yet he had still succeeded. Obviously he had benefited a lot. Before long, Saint King Earth King was sent tumbling backward, coughing up blood. Although he had been able to hold out until now, he had reached his limit. Chapter 44-53. Damn it. The Earth Saint King gritted his teeth. If Elder Tianshi was here, he would definitely succeed. Elder Tianshi was a mid-stage Saint King. However, he was not in this area. They should have all come out. Elder Ice Snake looked around. However, Insu did say that there was one more person, Ling Tian. That guy was still inside. What? He was also inside. The Saint Kings were stunned. They were no match for it. How could a young man like Ling Tian block it? These people looked in front of them in disbelief. In the area ahead, Ling Tian's face was pale. His body was covered in blood, and he held a purple scroll in his hand. This was the weapon of a Saint King. He was no match for the three-eyed ice dragon. Logically speaking, he should have been eliminated long ago. However, he was still standing here at this moment. Young Master Ling Tian was not defeated because there was a figure standing in front of him. It was a person wearing battle armor. This was the battle servant's battle armor. This time, young Master Ling Tian brought 3 battle servants. Among them was Fu Hongye and the other 2. This person was one of them. This battle servant was not ordinary because he was a Saint King, and a very powerful one at that. Young Master Ling Tian was the top genius of Xiling Grotto Heaven. His grandfather was also a supreme elder. Moreover, he was very terrifying. His cultivation had reached the great sage level, but he was 3,000 years younger than the other supreme elders. It could be said that there was a possibility of further advancement in the future. Therefore, Ling Tian's identity was naturally not ordinary. Among his battle servants there was a Saint King. At this moment, it was this Saint King who blocked the attack in front of him. In the end, this Saint King battle servant even defeated the three-eyed ice dragon and won. In front of him, a blue light of the great Tao appeared again and enveloped young Master Ling Tian. Then, his power of the laws increased. Then he walked out and walked towards the 3rd level. No way did he really succeed? Outside, those who had failed were also very surprised when they saw this scene. How on earth did this brat succeed? No one knew. On the 3rd level, Lin Shen stood there. His eyes were shining as he looked at the ice sculpture in front of him. He did not act rashly. The three-eyed ice dragon on the 2nd level was already so powerful. The guardian on the 3rd level would probably be even more terrifying. After waiting for a while, he noticed that someone had come up. It was an old man. The old man from the vast sky grotto heaven was stunned as well. He originally thought that he was the first to arrive, but he realized that Lin Shen was already here. Not long after that, another tall figure walked over. His body was injured. It was the statue Holy King. When he arrived, he was equally surprised when he saw the 2 of them. Your Excellency, you're truly skilled. May I know who you are? The elder of the Howling Grotto Heaven asked once more. Lin Shen didn't say anything. Sage King God Elephant frowned. It seems that only the 3 of us have passed. I wonder if the 3 of us can join forces. Before he could finish, footsteps came from the stairs. Then a 4th figure appeared. The 3 of them turned their heads. Who was it? Was it the Earth Saint King or some other saint? However, when they saw that it was a young man, they were all stunned. It was him. Lin Shen was also surprised. It was actually young Master Ling Tian. At this moment, young Master Ling Tian had 3 battle servants behind him. There was a smile on his face. How did this guy get up here? The 2 Saint Kings were surprised. Lin Shen was surprised. He had some ability. Compared to his younger brother, young Master Ling Su, he was much stronger. However, since he dared to make Fu Hongye a battle servant, Lin Shen wouldn't let him off. Alright, let's begin. Lin Shen said coldly. He walked forward. The other 2 Saint Kings also took a deep breath. Young Master Ling Tian also walked up. When they got onto the battle platform, the ice sculpture in front of them cracked again. Then a guardian walked out. It was a huge ant. Its entire body emitted a metallic luster. With a light wave of its claws, the heavens and earth immediately collapsed. Seeing this scene, Elder Howren sucked in a breath of cold air. Damn it, it was actually the legendary heavenly horned ant. It was an extremely terrifying exotic beast. Its strength was extremely terrifying. Everyone's expression became even more unsightly. The heavenly horned ant was even more terrifying than the three-eyed ice dragon. However, since they had already reached this step, it was impossible for them to admit defeat directly. They had to give it a try. After Ling Shen arrived, his expression was also serious. He guessed that such a terrifying demonic beast was at least a mid-stage Saint King. He couldn't fight against it. Therefore, he didn't plan to continue. Instead, he used his heavenly secret divine eyes and looked into the distance. He was looking for young Master Ling Tian. Since he couldn't defeat the Guardian, Lin Shen had to see Fu Hongye. At least, he had to break the seal in Fu Hongye's body. There were a total of 4 barriers in the sky. Soon Lin Shen's lips curled into a smile. These barriers were mysterious. Even Saint Kings couldn't see through them. However, his heavenly secret divine eyes weren't affected. He realized that young Master Ling Tian was actually beside him. In other words, as long as he broke the barrier, it would be fine. Lin Xin used the void escape technique. Although this was the only space-type mystic ability he knew, he had already mastered it to the acme of perfection. In addition, the power of the great dragon sword soul had increased. Therefore, he directly came to the spatial barrier where the other party was. When Lin Xian came out, young Master Ling Tian was startled. In the next moment, his pupils shrank. How did you get in? He was also very nervous about this mysterious person. Previously, he didn't care about him. However, since the other party could come here, it meant that the other party was definitely a Saint King. What? You want to attack me? You don't know the difference between life and death. Young Master Ling Tian snorted coldly. He waved his hand and 3 people walked over. The one at the front released an extremely terrifying power of laws. Lin Xian was surprised. It was actually a Saint King battle servant. No wonder you could come here. Indeed, the most powerful battle axes of ordinary top geniuses were only half-step Saint Kings. He didn't expect that this brat would have a Saint King battle servant. It seemed that he was a Saint King from another world. After coming to the buried Emperor Star, he was suppressed. Although I don't know who you are, I can feel your killing intent towards me. However, since you dare to go against me, I can only say that you don't know the difference between life and death. Kill him. Young Master Ling Tian waved his hand and the 3 battle servants directly attacked. Among them, the battle servant Saint King was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian felt the threat. He didn't take it head on. His body shook and he directly dodged. Then he took out the Great Sage Pagoda. He put the Saint King and the Heavenly Horned Ant inside. Damn it, what did you do? Young Master Ling Tian was stunned. The Saint King had disappeared. That strange beast had also disappeared. Only they were left. He had to face it alone. Chapter 44-54. He said, "Don't mess around. Let me tell you, my grandfather is the Grand Elder. If you attack me, you'll be completely offending the Purple Spirit Grotto Heaven. The consequences are not something you can imagine. If you leave obediently and release my battle servant, I can treat it as if nothing happened." As soon as he finished speaking, he was slapped and his entire body flew high into the air. His face was smashed. Then he was stepped on to the ground by a foot. Damn it, how dare he hit my face? Damn it, who are you? Why are you doing this? He roared crazily. Have I offended you? Lin Xian sneered. I just want to attack. What? Are you unhappy? As he spoke, he attacked continuously and completely smashed the other party's face. In fact, he even smashed the other party's body. A bloody mist condensed in the sky and the other party was terrified. Damn it, if my grandfather catches you, he'll definitely not let you off. Is that so? Lin Xian snorted and directly activated his heavenly secret divine eyes, locking the other party's soul and sending him into the cycle of reincarnation. I'll let you suffer a little. Lin Xian did not kill him, but he did not let him off either. He spared his life because of Fu Hongye. At this moment, young Master Ling Tian could not resist at all in front of Lin Xian. His soul entered the cycle of reincarnation to be punished. Lin Xian, on the other hand, looked at the other 2 battle servants and attacked them directly. He waved his hand and shot out a yin-yang image, suppressing one of them. Then he looked at Fu Hongye. The 5 elements laws flew out and formed a 5 elements mountain that shrouded Hongye. Then Lin Xian walked up and said, Hongye, it's me. Fu Hongye roared crazily. His eyes were red and the killing intent on his body kept erupting. Even though he was suppressed by the 5 elements mountain, he fought back crazily and cracks appeared on his body. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian sighed and waved his hand, causing the other party to fall into a deep sleep. Lin Xian discovered that there was indeed a seal in Fu Hongye's body. It was also a life and death curse, but the arrangement of the runes was different. Therefore, the way to break it was different too. That was the difference between the Grotto Heavens. However, it was all the same to Lin Xian. He directly used the Dragon Sword Soul to break it. At this moment, the Great Dragon Sword Soul had gone through the energy of the 1st and 2nd layers. In addition to the Ice Soul God Crystal from before, its might had become even stronger than before. Therefore, Lin Xian was also stronger. He was also much faster at deciphering them. Of course, even so, it still took Lin Xian 2 days to completely remove the life and death curse in Fu Hongye's body. Then he used his heavenly secret god eyes to carefully check again. After discovering that there was no danger, he used the Great Dragon Sword Spirit to form a fake life and death curse and placed it in the other party's body. He infused his power to wake Fu Hongye up. After Fu Hongye opened her eyes, she looked around cautiously and said, "Senior brothers, junior brothers, run." However, he realized that there was no danger around him. What's going on? But when he saw Lin Xian, he exclaimed, "Young martial uncle, it's you. Everything is fine. That's great. Are we safe now?" Lin Xian said. No. He told Lin Xian about what happened. After hearing this, Fu Hongye also said, "No wonder. Why do I feel like I can't remember anything? I actually became a battle servant, a puppet." He was really scared. If Lin Xian hadn't met him, he might have been a puppet for the rest of his life. "How are the others?" Lin Xian asked. Fu Hongye shook his head. "I'm not sure. The situation was too dangerous. There were too many enemies. Everyone was separated. I was suppressed by the Sage King. But I know that Shengguan Shaoxian and Lu Yuan are in Xiling Grotto Heaven too. Because the three of us are under the life and death curse." Lin Xian frowned. He knew the whereabouts of the three of them. He wondered how the others were doing. He wondered if Qing Cheng and Chiu had left. Fu Hongye asked, "Little martial uncle, how is master? Has he been suppressed too?" Lin Xian said, "No. He left. I'm in Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven now. I'm a battle servant in name, but I've removed the life and death curse. I've also removed your life and death curse. What do you plan to do now?" Lin Xian asked. He looked at Fu Hongye and said, "You have two choices. First, I'll kill Ling Tian. Then you'll be free. You can go somewhere else to cultivate and come back when you're stronger. Second, you can be like me and pretend to be a battle servant. You can use Xiling Grotto Heaven's cultivation resources to strengthen yourself. You can leave when the time is right. But if you do that, you won't be able to kill Ling Tian for now." Fu Hongye thought for a moment and said, "I'll stay." He wasn't familiar with the buried Emperor's star. If he went somewhere else, he might be suppressed again and become a battle servant. He might as well stay here. After all, he was no longer threatened by the life and death curse. Moreover, he could use the cultivation resources here to cultivate. As for Ling Tian, he said, "I'll kill this person personally." "All right." Lin Xian nodded and said, "I won't kill him. However, I won't let him off so easily." He waved his hand and endless laws, including a black rune, appeared. "What's this?" Fu Hongye was stunned. Lin Xian said, "The great sage corpse poison. When I expelled the poison from those sage kings, I left some behind. Firstly, I want to study it. Secondly, it might have an unexpected effect." After doing that, Lin Xian waved his hand and injected the drop of great sage corpse poison into Ling Tian's body. Then he said, "It won't take his life, but it won't make him feel good either. Alright, you should be careful from now on." He stood up and withdrew his eye technique. At this moment, Ling Tian had already fainted. His soul had been tortured for thousands of years and was heavily injured. Coupled with the great sage corpse poison, even if he didn't die, he would be heavily injured. He might even become a cripple. Lin Xian took out the great sage pagoda and released the heavenly horned ant and sage king. That sage king was already on the verge of death. He was inside the great sage pagoda. He originally wanted to escape, but he discovered that he couldn't break it at all. This was the great sage's Wu. Even if he used all of his strength, he still couldn't open it. Therefore, he could only face the heavenly horned ant's pursuit and continuously dodge. But even so, he was still heavily injured. Lin Xian released a cold snort. After releasing the two, he directly left. He walked out of the barrier. On the other side, the divine statue Saint and Elder Howren also left. Of course, they both failed. The two of them looked forward. There were still two people who didn't come out. They wondered how that mysterious person was doing. Chapter 44-55. Suddenly, they realized that the mysterious man had walked out. He did not continue to the fourth level. It seemed like he had failed. The two of them heaved a sigh of relief. They knew it. If the other party succeeded, it would be too heaven-defying. After Lin Xian came out, he did not stop. With a flash, he flew down. He left the pagoda. At the same time, a few other figures also flew out. It was young Master Ling Tian and the rest. However, young Master Ling Tian's situation was not good. His face was pale, and there was even a mysterious black aura around him. After coming out, the Saint King battle servant roared at the sky. "Ah, damn it, young master, how are you?" Damn it, the aura on his body is terrifying. However, the saint blood made one's scalp numb. Sensing the aura, Elder Howren's face changed. It was actually a Saint King. No wonder Ling Tian could come here. It turned out that he brought along such a terrifying existence. The two of them instantly understood. However, even if that was the case, Ling Tian would still be heavily injured. The Saint King battle servant raised his head and said, "Where is the mysterious man? Where did he go? He actually dared to beat young Master Ling Tian to such a state. My purple spirit grotto will not let him go." What? This guy was not beaten by the heavenly horned ant, but by the mysterious man. What kind of joke was this? How could that guy pass through the barrier? Damn it, the battle servant crushed the token on his body and quickly gathered the people of Purple Spirit Heaven. Not long after, the people of Purple Spirit Grotto arrived. When they found out that young Master Ling Tian was heavily injured and even poisoned, their faces changed. Young Master Ling Tian's identity was extremely terrifying. If he were to die here, his grandfather, the Supreme Elder, would definitely be infuriated. All of them would suffer. Therefore, these people said to take out pills to save young Master Ling Tian first. Everyone stopped searching for treasures. These people were incomparably nervous. The people of other grotto heavens were even more shocked. Young Master Ling Tian was heavily injured. Especially Elder Howren and the rest, they were even more shocked. That mysterious man was too terrifying. He actually dared to do such a thing. How did he do it? In an instant, the people of Purple Spirit Grotto frantically searched for that mysterious man. However, Lin Xian had already left. After he left, he changed his aura. He had 10 types of laws. After putting away the law of death and releasing the law of 5 elements, the situation instantly changed. Even if these people turned the world upside down, they probably wouldn't know that he was the one who did it. Although he had only gone to the 3rd floor, Lin Xian's harvest was not small at all. First, the Great Dragon Sword Soul had been upgraded. Then he had saved Fu Hongya. He was very satisfied. Next, he flew again in search of other places. It could be said that there were indeed treasures in this place. However, it was also extremely dangerous. Many people had died here. In the past few days, Lin Xian had seen quite a few battles, and there were even Saint Kings among them. He ignored all of them. There was another intense battle ahead. Lin Xian's eyes flickered and he frowned slightly. He wanted to change direction and continue flying. However, at that moment the people below also sensed his presence. Immediately, someone cried out in alarm. "Are you from the Thousand Mountain Grotto? Hurry up and help." It shook the 9 heavens. Lin Xian was stunned and looked down. In the next moment he saw that there were people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto among the people fighting below. Moreover, the leader was a Saint King. It seemed that it was impossible for him to escape. Hence he quickly descended. Opposite him were Violet Grave Grotto and a few experts from the ancient clans. They were extremely nervous when they saw that someone had arrived. Are the experts from the Thousand Mountain Grotto here? However, when they saw that it was only Lin Xian who had descended, they were all stunned. Then they sneered. It was just a battle servant, and a Saint Venerable battle servant at that. There was no difference between him and an ant. "Chinsu, are you trying to use such a person to help you? How ridiculous." The leading expert was called Elder Chinsu. At that moment he was also frowning slightly. He said coldly, "Why are you here alone?" Lin Xian said, "I was following Princess Xueqi. However, I was chased by a Saint King from the Violet Spirit Grotto. I let Princess Xueqi go first. Later, I brought that Saint King to 2 powerful demonic beasts. Only then was I able to escape." Was it the Violet Spirit Grotto again? Elder Chinsu's expression turned extremely ugly. It seemed that he would not be able to defeat them today. "Let's go." However, the people in front sneered. "Do you think it's possible for you to escape? It's impossible for you to not hand over something today. Hand over the treasure you found and give me all your storage rings. I'll consider killing you. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." The people in front were extremely powerful. Whether it was the number of Saint Kings or the number of half-step Saint Kings, they had the advantage. It was already very difficult for the Thousand Mountain Grotto to fight for so long and still persist. Lin Xian did not plan to attack. Although he was powerful and had formations, he did not plan to show them. Just as everyone was in a difficult position, another voice came from afar. Then the earth shook and a terrifying power swept out in all directions. "Who dares to attack the people of the Thousand Mountain Grotto?" With a roar, the earth split open, forming an endless canyon. The surrounding people's expressions changed. However, the people of the Thousand Mountain Grotto were overjoyed. Among them, Elder Chinsu exclaimed. It was the Earth Saint King. Great. A figure came from afar like a god of war. Under his feet, the earth seemed to come alive. He brought him to the front in an instant. On the opposite side, the people of the Xiling Grotto exclaimed. Even the people of the ancient race looked cold. They naturally knew that the Earth Saint King was an expert of the earth element. He was very powerful and had boundless strength. His defense was strong and he was a difficult opponent. Now that the other side had an additional Saint King, the situation would be different if they continued fighting. Therefore the people of the Xiling Grotto said, "You guys are very lucky. Let's go." The leading elder waved his hand and those people quickly left. "Damn it, we can't let them escape. Hurry up and chase." Elder Chinsu shouted angrily. They had suffered a lot before. Now that the Earth Saint King was here they could take revenge. However, the Earth Saint King stopped them. "Forget it, don't chase." What? Elder Chinsu wanted to ask more, but the Earth Saint King's face turned pale. Instantly he spat out a mouthful of blood. "What happened? Are you injured?" Elder Chinsu was shocked. The others were also very nervous. Chapter 44-56. I'm fine. I came across a martial pagoda and went in to look for opportunities. I was injured by the guardian of the pagoda. The Earth Saint King took out an elixir to heal his injuries. At the same time he briefly explained what had happened. Everyone was shocked when they heard it. Elder Chinsu said the same thing. "Did you say that Ling Tian was severely injured and his life was uncertain? Who on earth was that mysterious man? Regardless of who he was, it was a great achievement." The people of Xiling Grotto Heaven were being arrogant now. They all laughed. They did not know that the mysterious person they were talking about was right beside them. "Hurry up and heal your injuries. Let's meet up with Princess Xueqi and Ninth Young Master Yen." Elder Chinsu waved his hand and took out a saint weapon. He led everyone away quickly. It turned out that after Xueqi and Lin Xian left, they went on their way alone. Later they met Ninth Young Master Yen and the others. She had no choice but to stay there temporarily. Later, the people of Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven found an ancient cave with a powerful seal. It was obvious that the treasures inside were unimaginable. However, it also attracted other experts. Therefore, the people of Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven called for other experts to gather quickly. They were searching for the ancient cave. After flying for about 3 days, the saint weapon landed and a group of people walked out. A cold voice came from the front. "Who is it?" "It's me." Elder Chinsu took out a token. It shone brightly with the image of thousands of mountains on it. The people in front heaved a sigh of relief. Then 2 middle-aged men walked out. They said, "You're finally here. How's the situation?" The group of people asked as they walked. "The seal is very powerful. It can't be broken in a short time. Moreover, the people of other grotto heavens will discover it as time goes by. It's not good for us." At this moment, another group of people walked out from the front. The leader was Ninth Young Master Yen. When Ninth Young Master Yen saw the 2 great sage kings, he smiled. However, when he saw a figure in the group, he immediately frowned. "Phew, great." A wisp of cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. Just as he was about to order the Saint Kings to kill Lin Xian, Xueqi walked out from behind. He furrowed his brows but he didn't issue any orders. After all, he didn't want to have a falling out with Xueqi. When Xueqi arrived and saw Lin Xian, she was overjoyed. "Are you all right? That was great. How did you escape the pursuit of the Saint King?" This scene stunned everyone. Was this still the incomparably cold Ice Mountain Fairy? Everyone was in disbelief. It should be known that Xueqi was always ice cold and expressionless. She never worried about anything. But now he was actually worried about a battle servant. They felt as if they were dreaming. The saint rulers all frowned. They felt that something was not quite right. As for Ninth Young Master Yen, his face turned extremely ugly, and an extremely cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. He had already treated Xueqi as his woman, so he didn't allow anyone to get close to her. But now Xueqi was actually so concerned about a battle servant. This filled him with killing intent. He would definitely not let this brat go. If he had the chance, he would kill him with his own hands. Lin Xian frowned as he sensed Ninth Young Master Yan's murderous intent. He sneered in his heart. Would Ninth Young Master Yen let him go? He also wouldn't let him go. If he had the chance, he wouldn't mind sending him to hell. As Lin Xian looked at Xueqi, who was in front of him, he smiled and said, "It's nothing. I used the 2 sunflowers to obstruct the Saint King. So I left." Xueqi didn't doubt Lin Xian's words. After all, she didn't believe that Lin Xian alone could contend against the Saint King. At this moment, Elder Chinsu frowned and asked, "Princess Xueqi, what's so special about this battle servant?" Xueqi was taken aback. Soon after, she realized that she had been too worried. She didn't seem like someone who would treat a battle servant. Elder Chinsu took a deep breath and regained his composure. He then said coldly, "He's not ordinary. His formation skills are very high. With him here we can break the seal." What? Is this really the case? The saint rulers were taken aback. If this was the case, then Princess Xueqi's behavior could be explained. "Brat, are your formations really amazing? Let's quickly come and take a look." The elder in front of them couldn't wait any longer. Xian walked forward and observed the formation. He then frowned. The formation was very complicated, and it was built with the 5 elements laws as its foundation. The people in the surroundings were also taken aback. They had studied it for a long time, but they didn't expect that this brat would be able to see through it instantly. It seemed like he was really an expert in formations. Someone asked, "Is there a way?" Lin Xian nodded and said, "There is a way." But what?" Another elder asked. His name was Golden Wind Saint King, and he was 9th young Master Yan's guardian. Lin Xian said, "There is a way to break the formation. But the process of breaking the formation and the power required are too great. With just our paradise it will be very troublesome. Even if we break the formation we will consume a lot of energy. When the other paradises come, we won't be able to resist them. So, I think that it's better to spread the news and let other experts use their power. Break the formation quickly." "Brat, do you know what you are saying? Are you trying to give away the treasure that belongs to us? Do you want to die?" 9th Prince Yan's face was cold. Lin Xian looked at him and sneered. "Do you think that if we don't spread the news, those people won't be able to find us? We're all paradises, don't underestimate our strength. Also, I'm just giving a suggestion. As for the decision, it's up to the elders." After saying that, Lin Xian stood there and didn't say anything. The elders' eyes flashed and they started to discuss. In the end they nodded. "Alright, let's do it. Spread the news and let them come." 9th Prince Yan's face was ugly. He felt like he had been slapped in the face. Even with his status, his words were useless. Instead, these elders listened to a battle servant. It really made him lose face. The news spread, and not long after many people walked over. People from the 3 paradises came. Other than that, there were also people from the ancient race. Seeing this, the elders felt that it was about time and said, "Everyone, there's an ancient cave abode in front. Also, there are strong seals inside. We can only enter if we work together to break them. So, I hope that everyone can cooperate." The people who came here also knew that if they didn't contribute some strength, they wouldn't be able to enter. So, the paradises and families sent some people. Then Lin Xian and Xueqi started to give orders. Chapter 4457. However, after a while, they discovered that Lin Xian's formation was really powerful. It was even more terrifying than some of the older generation's formation masters. As such, they had nothing to say about it. With such power and formation mastery, the seal in front of them was finally broken. Soon after, a passage appeared. It was great. Upon seeing this, everyone was delighted. The passage had finally appeared and they could enter it. The people from the 1,000 Mountain Paradise heaved a sigh of relief. Where did Xueqi find such a formation master? Moreover, he had become a battle servant, and if they nurtured him well, it would be much more convenient for them to bring such a master along when they searched for treasures in the future. The people from the other paradises were also surprised, and many of them stared at Lin Xian. Such a genius formation master had unexpectedly been found by the 1,000 Mountain Paradise. It seemed like they would have to think of a way to deal with him after they finished searching the ancient cave. They didn't want the 1,000 Mountain Paradise to become too powerful. Lin Xian didn't pay any attention to these people's gazes. No matter what these people thought, he wasn't afraid of them. This was because he wasn't controlled by the life and death curse. The reason why he was still here was that he felt like he could use the paradises to obtain resources and strengthen himself. If there was any danger, he could leave at any time. Alright, let's go and see what treasures are inside. The eyes of the elders from the 1,000 Mountain Paradise flickered as they walked inside. Lin Xian and Xueqi were together, and they both turned into flowing lights and disappeared. After the people from the 1,000 Mountain Paradise entered, the people from the other paradises and clans also started moving. Soon they all entered the cave. After they entered, they discovered that there was a different world inside the cave. It was also a world of ice and snow, and all kinds of ice and snow appeared together. The ice mountains in front of them were of different heights, and it was a strange sight. Moreover, the temperature here was even colder. Everyone felt as if they were about to be frozen into ice cubes. Moreover, they discovered that there were some things sealed in the ice cubes. Some of them were demonic beasts, some were plants, and some were even spirit herbs. The people were astonished, as it seemed like this cave had been a celestial place in the past. However, later on it was completely frozen. If they could break the ice, then the treasures inside would be theirs. They did not act immediately because they found that the deeper they went, the better the frozen things were. In fact, many people's eyes had turned red. This was because they discovered that there were some spirit herbs sealed in ice inside. In the outside world there were even some that were extinct. Even Lin Xian was surprised. Not only was he an array master, he was also an alchemist. If he could refine these spiritual herbs into pills, it would be of great help to his cultivation. Furthermore, there was another matter. Xia Juyo's lifespan was running out. He had to think of a way to find the immortal medicine or the space-time sword or other heaven-defying items. Only then would he be able to prolong Elder Xia's life. While he was thinking, the others couldn't wait any longer. Hurry up and attack! These people directly attacked the frost. The frost didn't look thick, but it was even tougher than a saint artifact. He punched it, but there wasn't even a crack on it. However, these people began to attack frantically as if their lives depended on it. The eyes of the Saint Kings also flickered. He didn't immediately create a cave hand because there was still a tunnel ahead. There might be something even better inside. Lin Xian didn't stop either. He also walked inside. After walking for a while, Xueqi cried out in surprise. It was the ice phoenix fruit. She looked ahead and saw a big tree sealed in the ice and snow ahead. There was a fruit on it that looked like a blue phoenix. It was the ice phoenix fruit. Xueqi, I'll go get it for you. Ninth young Master Yen smiled when he saw this. His body flickered, and he stretched out a big hand to grab the tree ahead. Boom. The ice mountain in front of them was shaking non-stop. However, it didn't shatter. Instead, Ninth young Master Yen was knocked back. Damn it. Ninth young Master Yen shouted angrily and attacked again. However, the ice mountain ahead was tougher than he had expected. He attacked several times, but he still couldn't break it open. This made his expression even more unsightly. However, at this moment an elder attacked. The Goldwind Saint King. He waved his hand, and a golden storm flew out with a powerful law. Finally they broke through the iceberg. He waved his hand, and the ice phoenix fruit flew out and arrived in front of Ninth young Master Yen. Ninth young Master Yen stretched out his hand and caught the ice phoenix fruit. Then he walked toward Xueqi. Speaking of which, Xueqi, this is for you. Thank you. Xueqi received the fruit and nodded. Then she said, if I find other precious spirit herbs later, I'll exchange them with you. Or when we get back, I'll give you the equivalent amount of dragon marrow. Xueqi clearly didn't want to owe Ninth young Master Yen a favor. Xueqi, don't treat me like an outsider. We'll be a family sooner or later. However, Xueqi's expression was ice cold. She said to Lin Xian, let's go. After she said that, she ignored Ninth young Master Yen. Ninth young Master Yen looked at the two of them leaving, and a cold glint appeared in his eyes. You dare to ignore me? One day I'll make you crawl at my feet. A cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. It was clear that Xueqi's attitude had angered him. More and more good things appeared in front of them. There were all kinds of strange flowers and strange fruits. The crowd was shocked. The crowd couldn't bear it anymore and they attacked. Even Lin Xian couldn't bear it anymore. Boom, boom, boom. All kinds of explosions echoed out, and the ice mountain shattered. Not only did spirit herbs come out of it, but the frozen demonic beasts also opened their eyes. It was as if they had come alive and they attacked quickly. Boom. A giant black lizard appeared and it connected the sky and the earth. It opened its mouth and spat out black fog, which turned two half-step holy kings into blood fog. Even their souls didn't manage to escape. Ah! A miserable shriek echoed out, and the crowd's scalp went numb. A holy king attacked and cut the other party in half. On the other side, other demonic beasts appeared. A great battle erupted, and the crowd didn't just attack the demonic beasts. They even attacked the other saints. After all, they were all fighting for precious spirit herbs. However, at this moment, the sky and the earth cracked, and a holy king was sent flying while spitting out blood. The crowd was shocked, and they discovered that it was a dandelion. However, it was extremely terrifying. The dandelion seeds formed peerless divine swords that pierced through the sky and the earth. A holy king was injured in such a way. It was too terrifying. It was the same for Lin Xian, and he stared at the fiery dragon tree. The tree was very mystical and it looked like a real dragon. It stood there with terrifying flames on its body. The ice around it shattered. Chapter 44-58. This was good stuff. Ninth young Master Yan's eyes turned red when he saw this from afar. He wanted to order Golden Wind Sage King to snatch the treasure, but Lin Xian was faster. With a wave of the array formation, the fiery dragon tree was sealed and stored away. Ninth young Master Yan's eyes turned red. How could a battle servant have the right to take such a treasure? However, he did not attack immediately because there were still many spirit fruits around. It was worth it for him to attack with all his might. After all, Lin Xian could not run away. He would attack when he was safe. Bus, bus, bus. Lin Xian attacked and obtained more than 10 spirit herbs. He was overjoyed. Ninth young Master Yan's eyes turned red. He had only managed to snatch 2 spirit herbs, which was not even 1/5 of what Lin Xian had. He could not bear it. On the other side, Xueqi had also gained something. At this moment, another Sage King was injured. This time, there were even more Sage Kings who were injured because they had provoked a plant. It was a vine. After breaking the ice, the leaves on it were drawn into the shape of a heavenly blade. It actually formed a powerful array formation, trapping everyone. Damn it. Was it really a plant? It was too scary. They did not know how long it had cultivated to know about arrays. After everyone escaped with great difficulty, no one dared to provoke the vine again. At this moment, many snowmen appeared around them. These snowmen directly enveloped everyone. Lin Xian punched out, but he found that it was useless. The snowmen melted and covered him. At the same time, they felt the world spinning. In the next moment, they found that they had been frozen. However, they were frozen in the snow mountain and could still move. These people were frozen in different snow mountains. Lin Xian found that Xueqi, Ninth Young Master Yan, Elder Jin Feng, and a few others were here. They were all from the Thousand Mountain Cave. They heaved a sigh of relief. Great. At least there was no danger. Elder Jin Feng attacked the snow mountain a few times, but he found that he could not get out. He frowned. What should he do? The young master could not get out. Ninth Young Master Yan's face was gloomy. Xueqi looked around. We are in the snow mountain. It will be easier to get rare fruits. He wasn't in a hurry to go back, so he decided to take a look first. Everyone nodded and continued to walk forward. Ninth Young Master Yan followed behind, his eyes sparkling. Very quickly, his lips curled into a smile. Elder Jin, don't you think this is a good opportunity? Elder Jin Feng was taken aback. Young master, you want it? No one could leave this place for a while and no one could enter. If something happened here, no one would be able to stop it. Xueqi will be mine sooner or later. I'm just trying to speed things up a little. I think it's nothing. Since young master has decided, I will do my best to assist young master. Since those 2 people don't know what's good for them, why not just kill them? As for the battle servant next to Xueqi, you must capture him alive. I will make him wish he was dead. It was obvious that Ninth Young Master Yan was about to make a move. He took out a mysterious incense stick. Then he and Jin Feng swallowed the pill. In the next moment, he secretly lit the incense stick. He put it into his wide sleeves and then walked up. Xueqi, if you want any spirit herbs, just tell me. I will ask Elder Jin Feng to get them for you. Ninth Young Master Yan said. Xueqi was expressionless. There's no need for that. I can get them myself. You still look like an iceberg. Just keep pretending. Let's see if you're still an iceberg. A cold smile appeared in Ninth Young Master Yan's eyes. Lin Xian, who was next to him, furrowed his brows. Something is wrong. He stopped. Wait, what's going on? Xueqi asked. Ninth Young Master Yan was taken aback. What is this lad trying to do? Lin Xian said. It seems like there's poison. Everyone held their breaths and checked. What? Poison? The surrounding people were all stunned. Even Ninth Young Master Yan's pupils contracted. Damn it. How did this lad know? He didn't know that Lin Xian had the great dragon sword soul in his body. So, when the energy entered his body, the great dragon sword soul detected it immediately. Then it killed it. This was why Lin Xian knew that the other people were checking. They didn't sense anything. However, Xueqi's expression changed. She felt that the law in her body seemed to have weakened. It was really poisonous. Ninth Young Master Yan shouted angrily. Elder Jin Feng. Elder Jin Feng clapped his hands and created 2 golden storms. They instantly engulfed the 2 disciples of the Thousand Mountain Cave. Then, the bodies of the 2 turned into a bloody mist. Even in death, the 2 of them refused to believe that they were often killed by their own elders. Xueqi was also shocked. She asked, Elder Jin Feng, what are you doing? Are you betraying the Thousand Mountain Cave? She was really shocked. Elder Jin Feng didn't say anything. Ninth Young Master Yen sneered. Xueqi, don't worry. Elder Jin Feng won't attack you. He will just listen to my orders. Damn it. Are you crazy? What are you trying to do? Xueqi stared at Ninth Young Master Yen. Lin Xian also furrowed his brows. He sighed. Is this lad finally going to attack? But it's fine. The people outside probably don't know what kind of battle is going on here. It's a good place for him to attack. Xueqi, do you know? Since the first day I met you, I've treated you as my own. We will always be together. So, I want to speed things up. Today you will become my woman. After I go back, I will ask my grandfather to propose marriage. Don't even think about it. Ninth Young Master Yen snorted coldly. Ninth Young Master Yen sneered. Is that so? It's not up to you to decide. After he spoke, he walked forward. Xueqi snorted coldly. If you come any closer, don't blame me for being rude. The law of ice surged out of his body. However, in an instant she felt dizzy and almost fainted. She couldn't even stand steadily. Damn it. What did you do? She roared crazily. Ninth Young Master Yen sneered coldly. It's nothing. I just lit the incense. Damn it. You unexpectedly have such a thing. Xueqi's expression became unsightly. It was a terrifying item that ordinary people couldn't use. But why did this lad have it? Moreover, he used it to deal with her. Xueqi didn't dare to imagine what would happen if she couldn't detoxify it. She froze. With a loud shout, she sealed herself in ice. Quickly attack. She shouted at Lin Xian. At the same time, Xueqi set up a terrifying array. Lin Xian also walked forward. I didn't expect that you would be in such a hurry to throw your life away. Fine, I will deal with you today. Lad, you dare to speak to me in such a manner? You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Chapter 44-59. Elder Jin, break this kid's limbs and cripple him. I'll teach him a good lesson later. As he spoke, he walked forward. His palm unleashed a terrifying power that swept out in all directions. The formation shook, but it did not break. At the same time, Lin Xian created a few formations that enveloped Xueqi. Damn it, how dare you ruin my plan? Yanjiu was furious. Then he said, Elder Jin, break this formation first. Then he would kill this kid. Elder Jin walked out and wanted to attack. However, Lin Xian stopped him. Your opponent is me. Humph, how dare a mere battle servant be so arrogant in front of me? Get lost. With a furious roar, thousands of golden storms swept toward Lin Xian. Yanjiu was also disdainful. After this attack, Yi Fuqian would not be able to fight back anymore. A terrifying storm exploded in front of him, and then it became extremely terrifying. However, when the storm disappeared, a figure stood there. What? He's not dead? Yanjiu's eyes narrowed and his face became extremely pale. Even Elder Jin Feng was stunned. How is this possible? Did he hide his strength? He was really shocked. Even a half-step Saint King could not block his attack, unless it was a true Saint King. However, Yi Fuqian blocked it. This meant that Yi Fuqian had either hidden his strength, which was at the level of a Saint King, or he had a Saint King Wu. However, no matter which it was beyond his expectations. Yanjiu also said, Elder Jin Feng, kill him with all your strength first. Yanjiu was going to break the formation himself. On the other side, Lin Xian sneered. It seems that no one will know if I kill you here. In that case, I don't need to hide my strength anymore. After that, Lin Xian roared, and endless golden flames appeared on his body. He was like a sun that shone in all directions. This sudden burst of strength made Elder Jin and Elder Jin's faces change. Yanjiu was even more shocked. How is this possible? How can his body be so strong? His body is not weaker than a saint's. Elder Jin, catch him. He has secrets. I want his body refining technique. Yanjiu roared crazily. He was truly overjoyed. If he could obtain such a secret technique, he would definitely be able to obtain it. At that time, who would be his match? Elder Jin Feng was also surprised. This kid actually had such a secret. Interesting. With a wave of his hand, an endless storm appeared in a flash, forming terrifying wind blades that circled around him. Then he slashed out with his sword and slashed forward. So what if Yi Fuqian's physique was strong? So what if he had the physique of a Saint King? He was a true Sage King. Not only was his physique strong, but he had also completely surpassed his opponent in terms of precepts, strength, soul, and divine abilities. How could the other party compare to him? On the other side, Lin Xian also let out an angry roar. He took a step forward, and the golden light on his body swept out in all directions. With a palm strike, tens of thousands of golden crows appeared. Monstrous flames danced in the air, melting the surrounding ice. This attack was extremely powerful. Both of them exploded. The golden wind blades that filled the sky were actually defeated by this one card, causing them to lose their luster. It could be destroyed at any moment. Damn it! Elder Jin Feng roared. He did not expect Yi Fuqian to be so strong. With a roar, those dimmed golden wind blades became stronger again, turning into a peerless blade. The blade slashed down. Boom. With this slash, Lin Xian felt that his physique was under immense pressure. It was as if it was about to split open. He kept retreating, the blood in his body churning. At the same time, Yi Fuqian's attack came again. The golden storm that filled the sky turned into a golden lion. It charged forward. These were all formed by precepts, and they were enough to destroy everything. Its power was so strong that even a Saint King of the same level would not dare to underestimate it. Naturally, Lin Xian could also feel how terrifying this attack was. His body flickered as his speed increased to the extreme. At the same time, a terrifying demonic aura spread out from his body. Then the spear of destruction flew out, piercing forward. The terrifying heaven and earth continued to shatter. This attack was powerful to the extreme. Boom. The golden wind Saint King was instantly sent flying. His arm was trembling non-stop, and his face was incomparably cold. Damn it, Yi Fuqian really did have a Saint King Wu. A Saint King's physique in Saint King Wu. Yi Fuqian was very strong. Compared to other half-step Saint Kings, he was much stronger. Elder, are you okay? Seeing this scene, Ninth Young Master's face also became extremely ugly. He did not expect Elder Jin Feng to be unable to defeat Yi Fuqian with his full strength. He also did not break the formation. He had already broken one formation, but there were still 3 more in front of him, enveloping Xue Qi. He could not break these 3 formations. He could not walk in front of Yi Fuqian. He could not fulfill his wish. So he also attacked with all his might, and a Saint King Wu appeared in his hand. Qi with a single strike he charged forward. On the other side, Elder Jin Feng also said, "Don't worry, young master. Qi has a Saint King's physique and strength, and he is not inferior to a Saint King. However, he is not a true Saint King. In terms of superpowers and soul, he is not my match at all. Lad, I admit that you are very strong, but so what? Today you will die." Elder Jin Feng sneered. "Die for me." His soul power rushed over in an overwhelming manner. It was obvious that he wanted to destroy Lin Xian's soul directly. Competing with soul power? Lin Xian sneered. He used his heavenly secret divine eyes, and a pair of golden eyes appeared behind him. They could look down on heaven and earth like the eyes of a god. Ninth Young Master's soul was instantly suppressed, and he was sent flying, vomiting blood. If it was not for the Saint King Wu Qi guard, this attack had already killed him. Damn it, how could his soul power be so strong? Elder Jin Feng's face also became ugly. He could feel that Yi Fuqian's soul was not weaker than his. How was this possible? This guy was just a Saint Venerable, not even a half-step Saint King. However, he could compete with a Saint King. Who was this guy? Damn it. Elder Jin Feng roared, and he used his soul power to attack. He used peerless superpowers, and they were extremely powerful. Now, the only thing that he could beat his opponent was these superpowers. Lin Xian used the void escape, and he kept dodging these terrifying superpowers. Elder Jin Feng seemed to have found an opportunity, and he sneered. "Aren't you very strong? Why are you still dodging? If you are so capable, then compete with me. A Saint King can't even win against a Saint Venerable like me after fighting for so long. What right do you think you have to be arrogant here?" Lin Xian sneered, and then the golden light in his eyes exploded again. Chapter 4460. Bus. Elder Jin Feng had wanted to use his soul to suppress Lin Fan. But when the light of the soul shot out, his face changed. He tried to escape quickly. However, he had used too much of his soul to suppress Lin Fan. Hence, he could not retract his soul completely. After that attack, his soul was injured and he was sent flying while coughing up blood. Impossible. Damn it. How do you know the light of reincarnation? Could it be that you are from the Misty Peak? He was really too shocked. Oh, you know the light of reincarnation. Lin Xian was shocked as well. It seemed like the reincarnation guardian was from Ethereal Peak. Who are you? Elder Jin Feng roared. Ninth young Master Yen was stunned as well. Is he from Ethereal Peak? How is that possible? One must know that no matter how arrogant he was and how his status wasn't in Class 1, there was no way he could go against Ethereal Peak. But that shouldn't be the case. If he was from Ethereal Peak, how could he be captured by him and made into a battle servant? Don't believe him. He must have gotten the light of reincarnation by chance. He came from another world. He can't be from Ethereal Peak. Kill him with all your might. Elder Jinfeng came to his senses. But he was bitter. Kill him with all his might? To be honest, he was confident before. But now he might not be able to do it. That was because the light of reincarnation had injured his soul severely. His strength had decreased tremendously. He could not bring out his best fighting strength. Coupled with Lin Fan's physique and the horrifying sage King Wu, he was in a passive position. Indeed, after the battle, Elder Jinfeng was suppressed. As for Lin Xian, he was getting stronger. His divine body seemed to have endless energy. Elder Jinfeng spat out blood and cracks started to appear on his body. The spear of destruction pierced through Elder Jinfeng. The power of the dragon sword spirit roared out. The roar of the dragon resounded through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Then, Elder Jinfeng's body was about to be torn apart. How is that possible? Ninth young Master Yen was stunned. Elder Jinfeng was so severely injured that he had forgotten to attack. Elder Jinfeng roared crazily. To be honest, he had never dreamed that he would be defeated by a sacred master one day. Damn it. Brat, you have thoroughly enraged me. Even if I have to damage my foundation, I will kill you. He roared, and the blood in his body burned continuously. It seemed like he was going to attack regardless of the consequences. A terrifying golden shadow appeared on his body. Endless great paths intertwined as if they could destroy a world. At this moment, it was extremely terrifying. Ah, kid, you're dead meat. Seeing this, ninth young Master Yen knew that Master Jin Fengzhang was really angry. Under this attack, any Saint King of the same level would definitely die. Not to mention it was this kid. Amidst this crisis, Lin Xian coldly snorted. A dragon-shaped sword appeared in his hand, emitting a resonant dragon cry. Then he slashed forward. Heaven and earth were split apart in an instant. Endless cracks spread out as the sword slashed towards Elder Jinfeng. Boom. Elder Jinfeng's body was split into 2. His eyes were wide open in disbelief. How could this be? He let out a crazy roar that shook the 9 heavens. In the distance, ninth young Master Yen was so shocked that he knelt on the ground. His opponent had the strength to split a Saint King in half with a sword. What was that? That sword shadow was too terrifying. Damn it, how dare you hurt me? In front, Elder Jinfeng roared. His body was quickly healing. However, he realized that it was impossible. There was an extremely terrifying force that prevented his body from healing completely. That crack was abnormally terrifying. Who are you? I am the one who will kill you. Lin Xian held the spear of great destruction in one hand and the dragon sword shadow in the other as he walked forward. His divine body was becoming more and more terrifying. At the same time, he waved the dragon-shaped sword shadow again and charged forward. Boom, boom, boom. The battle broke out again. Not long after, Elder Jinfeng was split apart again. In the end, he turned into a bloody mist. He was terrified and wanted to escape. Lin Xian used the great dragon sword soul to create a sword path world that enveloped his opponent. Damn it, how dare you stop me? Kit, sister-in-law, you can't kill me. He roared at the sky. Lin Xian frowned. Indeed, his opponent was very powerful. He could defeat a Saint King now, but it was not that easy to kill one. His opponent was too strong. But so what? I can't kill you? You are too naive. Give me time, and no matter who you are, I will destroy your soul. Great Dragon Sword Soul, explode. Lin Xian shattered his opponent's storage ring and let the Great Dragon Sword Soul absorb all the power in the storage ring. The sword path world that was created kept attacking. Elder Jinfeng let out a roar as he fought against the ground. Lin Xian turned around and stared at ninth young Master Yen. Ninth young Master Yen was so scared that his face turned pale. What are you trying to do? Don't come over. He kept retreating. At this point, he no longer wanted to break the formation. He did not want any wishes or restrictions. He just wanted to go back safely. Do you dare to kill me? I am your master. Life and death curse activate. Ninth young Master Yen roared crazily as his palms kept forming seals. So what if his opponent was strong? He was just a battle servant. He had 100 ways to make him kneel at his feet. However, he realized that Lin Xian was looking at him with a cold smile. Is the life and death curse that powerful? How is it possible that you are not affected? Are you not being controlled? Ninth young Master Yan was completely stunned. Lin Xian threw a slap at Yanjiu. Crack. Young Master Yanjiu was sent flying with blood gushing out of his mouth. Countless cracks appeared on his body, and his blood stained the ground. He was in pain and fear. He wanted to escape. However, a foot stepped on his head. Don't you think it is too late to leave now? You tried to kill me time and time again. Do you think I will let you go? No, you can't kill me. My father is an elder. My grandfather is a supreme elder. My identity is very important. You killed me. If you kill me, the Thousand Mountain Grotto will not let you go. Is that so? Since your grandfather is a supreme elder, I will be dead if I let you go. So, go to hell obediently. Don't worry. I still remember what you said to me. I won't kill you so easily either. I'll let you have a taste of what pain is like. Lin Xian activated his heavenly secret divine eyes. Immediately, ninth young Master Yan's soul was pulled into the lock of spring and autumn. He suffered the pain of his soul for thousands of years. Arc. An instant outside was thousands of years inside. Ninth young Master Yan went completely crazy. He was a demon king. It was too scary. Finally, when his soul came out, it touched a treasure in the depths of his soul. It was a rune. A terrifying aura surged out from his body. Who is it? How dare you attack my grandson? Chapter 4461. This is great. Grandpa saved me. Hope appeared in Yanjiu's eyes. His grandpa was the supreme elder, and the great sage had left something in his body to save his life. When his life was in danger, this life-saving imprint would appear. Even Elder Jin Feng laughed from afar. Ah, brat, you're dead meat. The injuries you gave me before, I will return it 10,000 times over. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a sharp light. When the voice sounded, a ray of reincarnation light shot out from his eyes. It pierced through Yanjiu's soul. Yanjiu's soul was destroyed. He did not believe that Lin Xian would dare to kill him. As for the seal that was left in his soul, it shattered. A frenzied roar rang out. The human figure that had yet to condense also vanished into thin air. Only a roar could be heard. Who are you? I will find you. How is this possible? Jin Feng, who was far away, had been on the verge of death. The Supreme Elder's imprint had given him hope. However, it shattered in an instant. Damn it. That ray of light was the reincarnation light. He was in despair. In the end, his soul was destroyed by the great dragon sword soul. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He broke Yanjiu's storage ring and used the great dragon sword soul to cover everything in it. He erased all memories of Yanjiu's soul. He took some of the cultivation techniques and used his heavenly secret divine eyes to look at them. Then he destroyed them. As for the elixirs, he did not keep them. Yanjiu's grandpa was the great sage. It would be troublesome to keep them. However, he did not waste them. He gave them all to the great dragon sword soul. Now, every time the great dragon sword soul's power increased, his strength would increase as well. Previously, he could only run when facing a sage king. Now he could kill a sage king. Feeling the increase in strength, Lin Xian used all his strength to strengthen the great dragon sword soul. He shot out a ball of 9 suns divine fire. It enveloped Yanjiu's body and turned him into ashes. Then he walked forward. The array in front of him shone brightly. Lin Xian waved his hand and the array cracked. Xueqi's face was pale. The situation was very wrong. As she looked at Lin Xian, a trace of fear subconsciously appeared in her eyes. What did she see? Although she had been poisoned previously, she had still seen the previous battle. The other party had actually killed a sage king. Furthermore, that person had killed 9th young Master Yan and destroyed the talisman left behind by the Supreme Elder. Everything was too shocking. Was this really just a battle servant? Especially when he saw that Chu Feng was completely unaffected by the life and death curse, he was even more astonished. The other party wasn't a battle servant at all. The other party was a genius from another world who had been hiding beside them. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. Then he said, "Your condition is very strange. Let me help you expel the poison first." Xueqi was very scared. After all, she had seen Lin Xian's secret, and she was afraid that Lin Xian would kill her to silence her. However, she was really very weak right now. She couldn't beat him at all, so she could only close her eyes and resign herself to fate. She could feel the other party walking in front of her. The other party's physique and vitality were like a furnace of heaven and earth. His powerful strength shocked her. At the same time, she felt a biting cold aura enter her body. It seemed to brighten up her originally weak nomological laws. Xueqi opened her eyes and looked at this scene in surprise. Chu Feng didn't kill her. He was really helping her. But why? Why didn't he kill her? She already knew his biggest secret. She opened her mouth and wanted to ask something, but Lin Xian told her to shut up and focus on recovering from her injuries. After he finished speaking, Lin Xian used the Great Dragon Sword Soul. He wanted to destroy the mysterious aura in her body. However, this time Lin Xian was wrong. The Great Dragon Sword Soul could indeed destroy everything. However, the poison that Xueqi was poisoned with this time wasn't fatal. It wasn't like the Great Sage's corpse poison. It was another kind of poison. Logically speaking, the Great Dragon Sword Soul wouldn't be afraid of any poison, and it should be able to destroy it. However, this time, a strange fluctuation transmitted from the depths of the snowy mountain. Xueqi's body shivered. She felt that her ice law had become stronger, and it flew out of her body uncontrollably. Her aura, which she had already suppressed, erupted out once again. Lin Xian was also surprised. The Great Dragon Sword Soul had been ejected, and he immediately sensed the chilly aura. His divine body shone brightly, and the 9 suns' divine fire engulfed it. At the same time he felt his blood boiling. Damn it! What's going on? Lin Xian discovered that Xueqi had already flown over. Then his consciousness started to blur, and it seemed like he didn't know what was going on. After an unknown amount of time, Lin Xian finally woke up. When he opened his eyes, the first thing he did was to put up a defense. However, he discovered that he wasn't in any danger as Xueqi was beside him. However, when he saw their current situation, he was dumbfounded. What's going on? Lin Xian discovered that the armor on his body was gone. Did something absurd happen between the two of them? It can't be, right? He tried to recall carefully, but he discovered that he couldn't remember anything. He stole a glance at Xueqi, and when he discovered that she still hadn't woken up, he heaved a sigh of relief. However, he quickly furrowed his brows, as his heavenly divine eyes couldn't detect the poison in Xueqi's body anymore. However, it seemed like the situation wasn't good as there were flame marks on her body. It seemed like she had been injured by the 9 suns' divine body. Lin Xian's 9 suns' divine body was extremely tough, and it was one of the strongest physiques in the universe. Normally, Lin Xian wouldn't use the 9 suns' divine fire, so it didn't matter if Xueqi stayed by his side. However, he didn't know what had happened before. Although he had used the 9 suns' divine fire to detoxify her, she had been severely injured. However, he was also seriously injured by the 9 suns' divine flames. From the looks of it, he was on the verge of death. Lin Xian felt quite awkward. When he was with Murong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu, he was quite clear-headed, and he knew how to control his divine body's power. However, this time it seemed like it had exceeded his expectations. He had to quickly save her. Lin Xian had used the law of wood to protect her life, and he had even taken out an elixir for her to consume. However, it still wasn't enough. The divine fire's destructive power was probably extremely strong. It seemed like he would have to look for an ice-based super treasure to get rid of her injuries. Lin Xian took Xueqi and walked forward. At the same time he used the heavenly divine eyes. He detected an extremely terrifying aura ahead of him, and it seemed like even his 9 suns' divine body was threatened by it. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.